chairman of the governing People's National Party, PNP, Robert Pickersgill, has dismissed calls for an apology from him for his comment that Jamaicans who are using social media to express displeasure with the NHT's acquisition of Outameni are what he called an articulate minority. Pickersgill says he doesn't believe ordinary Jamaicans are talking about the Outameni controversy. He says he has no intention of apologizing to those who were offended by his comments.
What I've said, and I have nothing more to add or to subtract. So don't bother get me involved in anything about people's anger. Apologize for what? You see, you want to put, that is what I don't understand with you people, you know. You want to put words in my mouth. Those are your words. I have nothing more to add or to subtract from what I've said.
In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa, we ask these ancestors to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa and marched down the Nile, laying the foundations for human civilization and culture, we ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of these African ancestors who built their pyramids and their temples to their God concepts, to their principles, and to their moral values, who left us a legacy of architectural and monumental building unparalleled in the history of the world, we ask these ancestors who built the pyramids, who built the temples, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these African ancestors who took this African culture and extended it throughout Africa, building the stone cities of Zimbabwe, building the empires of the Sudan, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, building the Swahili city-states along the east coast of Africa, and in Christian Africa, asking King Lalibela and giving him the courage to build the 12 churches of Lalibela from the ground down, monuments to the world. We ask these Africans who spread this culture to the Dogo and to the Akan and to the Yoruba and to the Bankango and to the Zulu. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the Africans who opened up Africa, opened up the Nile Valley to other cultures and other peoples, and they came in and nurtured themselves on the African greatness. First coming in early were the ancient Hebrews, and they synthesized this culture and produced Judaism. Later coming in were the Christians, and they synthesized this culture and produced Christianity. Coming in were also the Greeks, who took the African culture, synthesized it, and produced Greek civilization. And then later, the Prophet Muhammad, and with the Arabs coming into the Nile Valley, they synthesized the culture and produced Islam. We ask these African ancestors, who as part of their legacy laid the foundations for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Greek civilization, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask those African ancestors pulled out of Africa, taken to the hells of North America, South America, the Caribbean, maintaining the spirit of African humanity in their hearts and in their minds, and who left us this enormous legacy of struggle. We ask those Africans who resisted enslavement in the villages of Africa, who resisted enslavement in the shores of Africa, who resisted enslavement in those forts and dungeons, who resisted enslavement in the holes of those ships, who resisted enslavement when they arrived on these shores in the New World. We ask these Africans who ran into the highlands of northeast Brazil and established for 100 years the first free republic in the Americas, the Republic of Palmares, and their last great leader, Zumbi, who spirit and sacrifice. We ask these Africans who replicated the Brazilian experience and went into the highlands of Jamaica and became the maroon-free communities. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of the Guyanas and Suriname and created free republic of the Suramaka and the Ajuka. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of Georgia and the swamps of Florida and moved with the Seminole Indians and resisted oppression. We ask these Africans who left us a legacy of struggle and resistance, the likes of which no one in the world has, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these Africans who created and laid for us a foundation of struggle and resistance that was passed on generation after generation, that was passed on to Harriet Tubman, who fought her way out of enslavement and became a symbol of freedom for all of us. Similarly, Frederick Douglass and hundreds of thousands of others fought their way out of enslavement. We asked those Africans who went with Boukman Dessalines to create the greatest revolutionary experience, or the Haitian Revolution, leaving us a legacy, the likes of which no one else has had. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth. Hide nothing from the masses of the people. Tell no lies. Expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures. Claim no easy victory. When we lose our African connection, we lose our world connection. When we disconnect ourselves from Africa, we cease to be a world people. Without the African connection, we are a disjointed people, begging for the entry into somebody else's house. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Very, very pleasant morning to you. Welcome once again. You're inside of the Africa Forum, Running African. My name is Kheru Ma'aj Kheru, working out with my in-studio assistant, broadcast assistant this morning, Shamara. And we're going through until 10 o'clock. That's when the big A comes in with the Sunday sunshine. Got a lot lined up for you this morning, Sunday, November 30. Sunday, November 30. And as you heard Talia said just now, it is the last Sunday, it's the last day in the month of November as we move into a brand new month. December 1 will be tomorrow. Exiting Youth Month and making way for the Madness Month. Lots happening in this month. By the way, it's kicking off though with observations and observances for World AIDS Day. And it is also kicking off for November 1 as a day of resistance here in Jamaica. That's December 1, a day of resistance here in Jamaica, where the articulate minority and the ordinary Jamaicans, those on Twitter and those on other forms of social media, are gearing up to register that they too count, especially against the background of the impunity with which government acts. NHT, the launching pad. Out of many, the launching pad. Articulate minority and ordinary Jamaicans. Statement from Minister Bobby Pickersgill, the launching pad. But what it has done is that it is now re-energizing an area of the Jamaican society, a segment of the Jamaican society, neither JLP, neither PNP, or maybe both, who are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so December 1 is a day of resistance in Jamaica. Most of us will be heading to Emancipation Park in time for that 4 o'clock protest. Stand up and be counted. Stand for something. Stand up even if you're sitting down. Take a stance even if you're sitting down. And so that December 1 is a day of resistance in Jamaica. We're gearing up also for December 7. December 7, that's a date. That is a date in which we'll be heading to Winifred Beach in Portland to celebrate half of a victory because we need full victory, full free. But we're heading to Winifred Beach in Portland on December 7. The Africa Forum, Running African, will be broadcasting live from the Winifred Beach in Portland on December 7. That is next week, Sunday. We're heading to Portland. We're coming your way. As you know, and I'm sure you've been hearing it by now, we have been talking about this since October in terms of a judgment. The court judgment, the court has ruled that Winifred Beach is indeed a public beach, and so the public must have access to the beach. That is no small feat. That is no small victory. It's 7 years coming. Media activism, activism on the ground, activism of the Winifred Benevolent Society, activism of those who don't even live in Jamaica, don't even know Winifred Beach, but those who say to themselves that exclusion is not the way to go, and the freedom of access to the beach, access to the land, access to the sea is important for any society, democratic or otherwise. So December 7, after that court ruling, we're journeying to Winifred Beach in Portland, and we're coming to you live next week, Sunday, from the Winifred Beach. We ask you to join us there. Ordinary Jamaicans, not so ordinary Jamaicans, articulate minority, inarticulate majority, whoever you are, join us on Winifred Beach on Sunday, next week, Sunday, December 7th. All right, so that, as I said before, lots happening in December. And then, of course, you're looking forward to Kwanzaa. We're in the Kwanzaa period right now. For some, it's Christmas. For those of us of African ascent, it is Kwanzaa time. Time to celebrate the harvest and the first fruits. And if you haven't planted, then I'm sure you're not reaping. Or you might be reaping that which you did not sow. So we're looking forward to December all together. December 10 is the launch of Little Afican and the Cause for Reparations. This will be at Liberty Hall between 1 and 3. And the authors are Caleb Gordon and Dr. Nora Whitman. They're going to be joining me on the phone lines this morning in just a little while to talk about that launch. Also coming up in the program this morning, as we continue to be visionary in how we see our lives, in our worldview, reuniting the African family for development, blazing new paths towards Africa's rendezvous with destiny, bearing witness, demanding change, crafting new agendas for change and development. We are Africans. Not because we were born in Africa, but because Africa was born in us. Welcome to the space. Welcome to the Pan-African space. Welcome to the African space. Welcome to Africa. And so this morning we're going to be talking to Caleb and Dr. Nora Whitman on the launch of this children's book. Dr. Nora Whitman is an international lawyer, author, and fashion designer. She's also of the author of the book Slavery Reparations Time Is Now, and that's her first book. Caleb has written Little Afican. He's also with the Rastafari Youth Initiative. And then later on in the program we'll be speaking with the Reverend Mullings of the Ministers Fraternal and Mr. Lawrence, representatives of the Fisherman's Beach Cooperative or Association down there in Ocho Rios. Going to be having a quick chat with them just to get an update. Kind of like the work that we see the Ministers Fraternal doing and continue to do. And then my main guest in the studio this morning, going to be looking at the Cockpit country, protecting Jamaica's last wilderness area, the Cockpit country. Why is the Cockpit country important? Why must we fight tooth and nail with our last breath to preserve the Cockpit country? Why? Dr. Esta Figaro will be joining me in the studio this morning to help us understand the Cockpit country, to help us understand why any conversation, any discussion, any idea, any thinking of mining bauxite or limestone or anything else in the Cockpit country is death for Jamaica. It's sounding the death knell for Jamaica and Jamaicans. So we look forward to that conversation with Dr. Esta Figaro. And during that conversation, we're going to be opening the phone lines also, give you a chance to speak with her, ask your questions of her, and to make your comments. So we've got so much to talk about. Also, at 8:30, it will be time for your cash pot draw. And then at 8:45, local and international headlines and IRA FM's Sunday Sports Diary. Later on in the program, yes, we are celebrating. We're celebrating the victory, that the court ruling that Winifred Beach is indeed a public beach and that the public must have access to the beach. And joining me on the phone lines to look ahead to next week as we head to Winifred Beach, Carla Gulato and Cynthia Miller. Cynthia, of course, has been operating on Winifred Beach for over, what is it, Cynthia, 20 years? And Carla Gulato, of course, part of the Winifred Benevolent Society, who has taken up a struggle to free Winifred Beach. Also on the phone lines this morning, the Managing Director of the Urban Development Corporation of the UDC, Mr. Desmond Malcolm. All right, Winifred Beach, the way forward. That's also going to be discussed this morning. And then if we do have time, we will get to the bottom line. But we know it's a whole lot to get through this morning. So thank you once again for joining. Let me welcome you on the internet at iReFM.net. Good morning to you, Aldith. Good morning. Thanks for, I was going to say waking up, but Aldith, you've been up. You're in the Netherlands. You've been up. All right, but thanks, as usual, for joining us. Thanks so much for joining us from the continent of Europe, for all those who are tuning in. If you're tuning in from Europe, wherever you are, in the UK, in Germany, in Spain, in France, wherever in Europe you are, welcome to the Pan-African Space. Thank you so much for joining us from the United States of America. Wherever in the United States you're listening to us from, whichever state you're in, thank you so much for making it IRFM and the Africa Forum. And once again, to those who are joining us from the continent of Africa, from Ghana, thank you so much for joining from the continent of Africa, from South Africa. Welcome to the space. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. From Southern Africa, let's just say that, whether you're in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in South Africa, thank you so much. From Central Africa, wherever you are, in Uganda, you're welcome to the space. It is a Pan-African space. It's an African space. We've come this long and thus far, and the elephants that brought us here have since died. In front of us stand the Roman army that wants both our swords and our blood. It is such a critical struggle, for if we lose, we are lost forever. We will find a way, or we will make one. Tomorrow is a day of resistance in Jamaica. We're finding a way and we're making a way. Remember that it's across Jamaica. We ask you to join in this day of resistance, and it's going to happen across Jamaica. I think for ground zero for the day of resistance, so it will be at Emancipation Park. Don't ask me who is organizing. Don't ask me what this is about. Well, I do know what it's about, but don't ask me who's behind it. All I know that it is a movement that started in response to the statement by Minister Bobby Pickersgill, in which he said ordinary Jamaicans do not care about the NHT scandal, the Out of Many scandal, and that those on the social media are the articulate minority. So a movement started out of that, and the articulate minority and the ordinary Jamaicans have said collectively, let us, on this day of resistance, not just show our strength, but stand up for something. We can stand against 1,000,001 things, but what do we stand for? And I think this is the crux of the matter as far as our advocacy and our activism are concerned, because we do tend to stand against. So we stand against injustice as opposed to standing for justice. If you stand for justice, you will not tolerate injustice. But if you stand against injustice, then you expect injustice, and you'll continue standing against injustice. So we are standing for justice. We're standing for integrity. We're standing for transparency. And regarding nothing, we do not believe in guarding democracy. We believe in challenging democratic institutions that use democratic laws and democratic constitution and democratic principles to oppress a nation. So that as journalists and as Journalism Week wraps up, I think we must look at ourselves again critically and ask ourselves, what in heaven's name are we standing up for when we talk about guarding democracy? Democratic conventions and democratic laws and democratic constitutions will oppress the majority of the people. Believe me, look again at representative democracy and tell me how that goes. Because right now they're talking about the majority. And if the majority is kept in ignorance, if the majority is miseducated, if the majority is tribalized to the point where they can't even say no, and the majority stand up with you in your corruption and your greed, then that is democracy. So we are not here to guard democracy. We are not guarding democracy. We are challenging democracy. We are disrupting democracy. We are shaking up democracy. We are challenging democratic institutions, and we are saying, out of that, we want to evolve a system that works best for us, that does not exclude the majority of the Jamaican people, that does not deny access to the beach, that does not deny access to land. We challenge a democratic principle that calls a people's land crowned land. We question the democratic principle, and we refuse to guard that principle that gives large swathes of land across Jamaica, in Westmoreland, in St. Mary, in St. Elizabeth, to a handful of descendants of enslavers. Look good. Look again at those who own the largest acreage of land in Jamaica, and tell me who they are if they are not the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of enslavers. I am not here to guard no democracy. Excuse me from that. I challenge the democratic principle that allows that capitalistic system to continue. I challenge that, I question that, I disrupt that, and I want to disturb that. Also challenge a democratic principle that says that when young journalists go to a press conference in a system where the Prime Minister does not give interviews, where the Prime Minister is not accessible for press conferences, I challenge any journalism that tells me that those young journalists do not have the right to seize the mic. Carpe diem, we must seize a day, and we must seize a mic. So I know I see the young journalists backtracking that they did not necessarily seize the mic. You do not have to apologize for seizing the mic in this environment, in an environment where they will not talk to us. When you meet them, seize the mic and demand from them answers. That is the role of journalism in a system that you call a democratic system, in which the Prime Minister is absent from the people, in which you communicate to the people through press releases, decisions made through press releases. Seize the mic and demand answers. It is your right to do so. And I challenge our elder journalists, whether you lecture at Karimak, head up Karimak, or whether you are the PAJ president, and listen now, I'm just using these positions and not the persons in them, because we know that this is an ongoing thing over the years. I challenge the older journalists to stop bullying the younger journalists who instinctively recognize that the day has come for them to seize the mic. If they will not answer us and communicate with us only through press releases because of their arrogance, we must seize the mic. Congratulations to you. Seize the mic. We have come this long and thus far, and the elephants that brought us here have since died. In front of us stand the Roman army. In front of us stand democracy. And they want both our swords and our blood. It is such a critical struggle. For if we lose, we are lost forever. We will find a way, or we will make one. It's the words of Hannibal, by the way. Good morning to you and welcome to the space. Welcome to the space. Uncle Charles Seneb, life, prosperity, health. Indamin Adaru, good morning to you. Mr. Eastlin, greetings. Ujambo Wati. How are you doing? How are you, my people? Safi? Are you okay then? Okay. All right, you're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African. And in a little while, we'll be speaking with Ras Caleb and Dr. Nora Whitman. Right after this, though, we take a break, we give you some music, and we come back to that interview.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
We refuse to be what you wanted us to be. We are what we are. That's the way it's going to be. If you don't know, you can't educate us for no equal opportunity. Talking about my freedom, people freedom and liberty. Yeah, we've been starting on the wine press much too long. Rebel, yes, we've been trying on the wine press much too long. Rebel.
As we ask you to gather with us in Emancipation Park on December 1. It's a day of resistance. Between 3 and 4 p.m. and then beyond, I think. As we ask you to join us on the Winifred Beach on December 7th. Broadcasting live from Winifred Beach, December 7th. That's next week, Sunday. We'll be live in Portland, along with the people of Portland, the people of Jamaica. Winifred Beach is a model.
Look out now, they sucked in the blood of the sufferers.
Look out now. Look out now.
Tell the children the truth.
Tell the children the truth and start right now. And that is why the book is important. The book that's going to be launched on December 10. That's why it's important. As we go to the phone lines. Ras Caleb Gordon and Dr. Nora Whitman on the phone lines to talk about the launch of Little Afeni and the course for reparations. Good morning, Ras Caleb and Dr. Nora Whitman.
Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Selassie I, Empress Menini, the perfect balance for I and I.
Oh, my brother. Dr. Whitman, you there?
Yeah, good morning, blessed us.
Greetings to you, Hotep both. All right, so first of all, Dr. Whitman, let me congratulate you on the book. And we're talking about the book, Slavery, Reparations, Time is Now, Exposing Lies, Claiming Injustice for Global Survival. We have added that book to the Running African Book Club reading list, and I know a lot of people are reading. Some people are sharing, so it's taking a little bit longer than others. But it's on the list. Yes. It is a long book, but we're used to reading those kinds of academic books. It is quite fine. Easy to read, though. It's not hard to read. But congratulations on that. All right. Once we are through reading that, obviously we'd want you to come back to talk about it. But this morning you're here to talk about a different book, co-authored by yourself and Ras Caleb. Ras Caleb, tell me a little bit about this book, Little Afican and the Cause of Reparations.
Well, Little Afican and the Cause for Reparations is a children's book that speaks to transatlantic slavery and the necessity for reparations, which is the repair. Repatriation is a part of that repair. As you know, some people don't understand that when you say reparation, you automatically speak to repatriation, because under reparations you have restitution, which is restoring, our lands and what was taken for us and what is rightfully ours. So repatriation is naturally a part of reparations. The original setting, the first setting of the book, is the Nigerian city-state/town of Ijebu-Ode. And first let me give thanks to Ras Sion Ayagif from the Rastafari Youth Initiative Council, and also Auntie Pedro Wilson, which is his mother, who are from that Nigerian city of Ijebu-Ode, and they assisted I and Dr. Whitman with the research as well.
And it's interesting you should mention Pedro, because she, I haven't spoken to her in many, many years, but it's interesting that just as we go into the 25th year of IRFM, that her name comes to the fore and to this space, and it reminds me that she was one of the first resource persons for many, many moons in 1990 on this program. So I'm glad to know that she's still in Jamaica, and we'll definitely be calling you for a contact for her. So she was one of the resource persons, and her son for Nigeria, because this part, you're saying the first part of this book is actually set in Nigeria.
Yep.
Ah, brilliant. All right, so let me ask you this, Dr. Whitman. Who's Little Afican in the book, for those who haven't seen the book, read the book yet?
Little Afican is really the main character. She is a girl who was 9 years old. She gets kidnapped from there about 400 years ago, and taken to Jamaica. And the book then traces the story of her and her family up to today, and how it still impacts them. Transatlantic slavery, and what the reparations would do for them. And for the whole world, in fact.
All right, we are talking to you just ahead of the launch of the book, which is going to happen on December 10. Ras Caleb, December 10 is an important date, and this
for
date
sure.
wasn't right. Tell us why you chose this date, because it wasn't random.
December 10th is the International Day for Human Rights, and this is how we're going to celebrate it. It is also the launch of the UN Decade for People of African Descent. And this is how we're going to kick off that decade, with a children's book on reparations. Time is now.
And the launch is going to be where?
At 76 King Street, Liberty Hall, downtown Kingston. That is our heritage site, Garvey, UNI headquarters. And it's between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock p.m.
And this is a children's book, Ras Caleb. What do you hope that children will take away from this, and how do you see parents integrally involved in using this book to understand a little bit more about reparations?
Well, one, it's a topic that is very little known about. A lot of people don't know about reparations. I go around Jamaica and I ask children and the youth about reparations, and most of them say, reparations, what is that? So they don't really know. So this book is also about increasing the legal consciousness, of the children and of the youth, so they can know, the situation that we're coming from, slavery and colonialism, neo-colonialism, and the necessity for the repair. And in these days, we feel that, the children don't really know much about slavery and colonialism and neo-colonialism. And we feel that we need to let our children know about these things. It's not a sad thing. It's a historical thing. It's a factual thing. It can increase their dignity, once they understand more and the necessity of the repair. And we need the children to understand that the world can be repaired. And what I mean by the world is that slavery doesn't only affect us as African people. It affects the world. The very descendants of the perpetrators who enslaved our people are continuing to do things today, destroying the environment. Descendants of the perpetrators who enslaved our people are continuing to do things today, destroying the environment, the ozone, Monsanto and the genetic modified seeds, reducing indigenous plants, throughout the earth. Animals are being extinct, fish in the sea, and we explain to the children that reparations, transatlantic slavery reparations for Africans can assist to solve these world problems. It brings African people and the African continent, back in the world scene as a superpower, and Africans have that responsibility again to care for the earth and to heal it.
Thank you for that. Let me ask Dr. Whittam, what are one or two or three, if you will, of a takeaways from this that parents can, continue to drill in their children in terms of understanding? I heard Rascaleb said earlier the legal aspects of reparations, so I suppose that is part of what the book deals with. But what are some of the, give me about 3 takeaways from this book that parents can.
Well, most basically, I just think that it is most important that the younger generation and the children, that they get to know from as early as possible a clear picture of what is going on and of their rights too. And I just heard too many times, both in Jamaica and in other parts of the African diaspora, but even on the continent too, that that reparations and foolishness and that would be begging and all kinds of things. But there's really, there's not only a strong necessity for reparations, but also, a legal right to it. And it's important that the children get to know this as early as possible. And it was a challenge in the children's book, of course, for one to get the story of transatlantic slavery into form so children can digest it, that they still capture the essence of it, but that it is still, because you cannot tell every horror to children. It's not,
right.
And I was just going to ask,
what I understand that actually, what age group is a book geared at?
From about 6.
From about 6.
6 upwards.
And for the parents who are listening, why should they go out and get a copy of the book?
Because there's no book on reparations for children, because as we said, it is most important that this upcoming generation goes on the right consciousness with regard to reparations and what is going on, the violence and what has been done to African people up to today, and also to find go with perspectives, of how to overcome that and get more powerful through the book. And also it increases, in general, when I was a child, I always liked children's books about justice and about empowerment, so with our book we strive for that.
Where's the book available, Rascaleb?
Right now at www.powerofthetrinity.net. It is on Amazon.com.
And of course it's a book launch, so I hope that many people come out.
There's a special sale at the book launch. The book launch will be selling for $1,500 flat at Liberty Hall during the launch. It is on Amazon for $16.99.
Okay, so hard copies of the book are available.
Available.
All right.
Yeah, I will discuss with Ross iNation Clause, iNation books too.
Right.
Most likely iNation will be having the books as well.
I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book, and this is why I'm asking these questions, because I don't have a copy of the book. Is it all electronic that you have sent out so far?
Well, yeah, because we just received the book really just come out, so we just received the copies a few days ago, but we will see that we get one to you as soon as possible.
I'd really appreciate that, because one of the reasons I haven't read it is because I got it electronic, and I know everybody is going electronic today, but I spend my day on the computer. That's what my work involves, so it's difficult to read a book. And let me just say that to everybody who said it'd be electronic books, it's difficult for me to read a book on electronically because I do so much work on the computer. Yeah, but I do so much work on the computer, so it's really difficult. But let me just say, congratulations on the book, congratulations on the launch. I suppose the Reparations Commission is endorsing the launch?
Well, the NCR had a meeting on Friday to discuss, if they're going to endorse the book. We had asked them for sponsorship as well and their participation. So they're yet to contact us as yet. Well, hopefully by Monday, Tuesday, we'll be knowing something. But they were invited. Lord Anthony Gifford, who is also a member of the NCR, he has confirmed his participation.
Right, because I saw
guest speakers.
Right, because I saw that. But you're hesitant in terms of whether or not the NCR is endorsing the launch. But I did see a missive that you sent out saying Tony Gifford would be there.
Definitely. The moderation will be done by Professor Emeritus Rupert Lewis, our Garvey scholar, and professor at the University of the West Indies in Political Theory, Department of Government. So I really give thanks. Yes. Lord Anthony Gifford has a copy of the book because he's close by where we are now, and we got some copies the other day. So he's one of the only person that has the copy of the book. I have a few copies for Rupert Lewis.
Let me ask you this, Rascal, because you said the National Commission on Reparations, you're saying that they have not yet endorsed the book?
Not yet.
Okay, so what is it? What's the hold up?
They have to meet about it. It's a collective decision as an organization.
Okay.
So that meeting was held Friday, as I said, on the 28th. So we're just waiting. Hopefully Monday, Tuesday, we'll find out something. You have Ashida Doya, a staff member at Liberty Hall. She's one of the researchers there. She's going to be a part of the Healing Circle. You have Marcia Aisha Elliott, as Fred Black's sister, fervent member of 12 Tribes of Israel, and Rastafari Youth Initiative Council Empress Menin Honoree. Honored her at the banquet in 2012. So, she's going to be a part of the Healing Circle as well. So, big up yourself, Aisha, Ashida. Give thanks for everything.
All right. Thank you so much, Rascalem. So, once again, the launch of Little Afeni and the Cause of Reparations will be at Liberty Hall, 1 o'clock on December 10. So, it goes from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Yeah. And Professor Rupert will be the moderator. Yeah?
Yes. And once the public to be there, 1 doesn't mean 1:30 or 2. You're going to miss the author's presentation if you're not on time.
Okay, what day is December 10?
Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. All right, thank you so much, Rascaleb. Thank you so much, Dr. Whitman. We'll see you and talk to you shortly.
Thanks.
All right.
Give thanks.
All right, Rascaleb there with Dr. Nora Whitman, and they have co-authored Little Afeni and the Cause of Reparations. The launch of that book will be at Liberty Hall at 1 o'clock on December 10, and it goes through to 3 p.m. You're inside of the Africa Forum. It's Running African. Time, 9 minutes now, going up to 7 o'clock. We're going to be speaking with Janet Burke, who is the daughter of Kumina Queen Bernice, and we send our condolences to the family and the friends and the wider community in which Bernice operated, the wider family. We heard that she transcended, that she died recently, and her daughter, Janet Burke, will join us on the phone line just to talk to us a little bit about that. Haven't heard much in the news, but Janet, morning, thanks so much, and our condolences on the death of your mother.
Hi, Andrea. Morning. That's okay, Andrea.
We heard, and I heard from you because you actually called here to say to me that your mom had passed. Tell for those persons who do not know, who, when we talk about Kumina Queen Bernice, who Bernice is.
Andrea, Bernice is the Kumina Queen for Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. And
Bernice is the Queen of Portmore Coming a group. Andrea, I'm hardly hearing you. You hearing me?
I'm hearing you very well.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Do you have is the radio on in the background now?
Yes, the radio is on, but I'm not near.
You're not near. All right. So she was the Kumina Queen for the Port Morant Kumina group, and many persons would have seen her performing at Seville and here at
Definitely.
She's performing here for the Marcus Garvey celebrations here.
Yes, Andrea.
Yes. When did she pass?
This happened on Monday, Andrea, for this month, the 24th of November.
Mm-hmm. Let me just, I know it's a strange question to ask, but why is it that we haven't heard much about this in the news?
Andrea, I have no idea, but at one point I thought Muta knew about it, so I was calling him to, talk.
No, I don't think he knows.
I did not get a chance to talk with him in person, but I leave message for him to get. Mm-hmm. We have a response as
no,
yet.
I don't think he knows, and I think that you left that message for both of us at the same time. In any case, here we are talking about it now because here's somebody who's an icon, a Kumina Queen who really has been holding that fort for a very, very long time. And talk to us about your mother, Janet. What do you remember in terms of some of the performances, the Kumina performances? Because she was a very strong Kumina performer.
Yes, Andrea. Well, what I can tell you, Andrea, she's known internationally. She's not just known in Jamaica for the Kumina. There is a lot she has done through the Kumina to, unite African people for once. Persons from Ashanti Town and Bongo Town and, the Maroon Town tribe, they all know Bernice through the Kumina. So the Kumina goes a far way back. When it comes on to independence, this is one time of the year I know that the Kumina stands out, Bernice stands out throughout that period.
Yeah, that is true.
Because they will use it to do celebrations, So I remember my mom as that person who's always going out there, doing her thing through the Kumina. So, and
she was, and for me, we every year we invite the Port Morant Kumina group, and Bernice is a person who we know leads that Kumina group, and that when she comes, it's always with a very, very big group. Ready to perform. And one of the things that stood out that people talk about a lot is the fact that she talked and understood some of the Kikongo.
Definitely.
Yes.
She knew it was a part of her. Mm-hmm. It's so natural for her to speak their language.
Yes. And many times I asked her to just, say something for me and tell me what it means. I remember calling her on the phone one day and saying, man, just talk Kikongo, man, and then when you finish, just tell me what it means. And she just launch out in the Kikongo. But Janet, did you learn any of the Kikongo? Is this passed down to you?
Just a little bit, Andrea. To be honest, I don't know a lot of it. But if I hear somebody speaking in it, there are things I can identify to say. The individual is saying X or Y. There's a little of it I know.
Yes.
I know how to greet African people in their language. I know to say thank you. I know a little bit.
Say a little bit of it for me. I used to ask your mother the same thing. Say a little bit of it for me.
All right, Andrea. If I was greeting everybody in the language, I would say, my name here to here too. It go for...
Yes? Yeah, Janet?
It will go for both male and female when you say 80 to 80. Yes. And then you'd say, we are one bongo picking.
Yes.
And persons who will bring it back to you, you say, Malay Motan Kent, because I am the female who is speaking back to you.
Yes. Well, something is passed on to you, so who's going to take up the mantle now?
To be honest, Andrea, it leaves up to that individual who wants to take it up and lead it. But at this point, nobody had made that decision to say who's going to take it up as yet.
All right. And she hasn't been buried yet, right? Did you have the funeral already?
Yes, we had already arranged the funeral, Andrea.
When was the funeral?
Yes.
Right,
the funeral will be on Sunday.
That's
the 7th of December.
Oh, okay. What time?
The time will be 11 o'clock.
Okay. And this is going to be where?
And the body will be Colonel Core for churching.
Okay. And all of this is going to happen in Port Morant?
The burial service is just going to take place in Port Morant. But the funeral service will take place in Morant, Colonel Core.
All right. Are you getting, have you heard from the Ministry of Culture?
Not as yet, Andrea. We have been waiting to get corresponding with them, but nothing so far.
Nothing from the Ministry of Culture?
No.
Do they know?
Andrea, I tried to make attempts at leaving messages, but I haven't getting corresponding with anyone to speak with individuals.
Okay. What about the JCDC office in St. Thomas?
Yes, they know about it.
Well, if they know about it, the Ministry of Culture know about it.
They know about it. We told them at JCDC, so we're still waiting to hear back from them.
Are they assisting in any way? The JCDC?
Andrea, I haven't seen anything as yet. Probably they're having something in mind, but I haven't seen anything as yet.
Okay, Bernice was somebody who performed at most of the ministry's events, in terms of the cultural events. She's usually there, whether it is civil or wherever. You talk about Independence Time and so on. All right. So you're still waiting to see how the JCDC would come in, and also how the Ministry of Culture generally would come in. So the minister hasn't called to say condolences? The Minister of Culture hasn't called to say condolences?
No one has called as yet.
All right. Well, just in case they didn't know, and the JCDC knows, so I don't see why they shouldn't know. Did you get a condolence message from the JCDC?
Yes, we did.
Well, I suppose they're also doing it. Well, let me not talk for anybody, but anyway, I suppose that once you've had this chat here, you probably will hear some more from the Ministry of Culture itself. But it's a shame that you haven't heard from the ministry. Let me just say this, but we don't want to carry any negativity into the space in which Bernice.
Yes, that's true. That's true, Andrea.
Right. So one of them call Bernice was a great woman, coming a queen extraordinaire. We really loved her.
Not just a coming a queen, but she's a mother of 14 kids, Andrea. Wow. And she also has a lot of grandchildren, 29. Yes. And she also has great-grandchildren. She's an icon in her community, Andrea. Bernice is extraordinary.
That is quite so. That is quite true. And accept from us here at IRFM our condolences. And I'm so happy that you called to tell me, because we didn't know at all until you called last week. And when I picked up your message, it was actually 2 days after you called. So I'm sure that others might not have known. But now that we have it in the space, Janet, it's out there. Thank you so much. Yes, my sister, go ahead.
Andrea, I'm hardly hearing you. You're breaking up.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was saying if you'd like to speak to one of my sisters and hear her also.
Okay, one of your sisters is there with you right now?
Yeah, so she's a part of the Commoner group.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi.
All right. Hold up, my sister.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, and what's your name?
Ivy Henry.
Oh, Ivy.
Bernice's daughter. I was a part of the Commoner group. From I was a young little girl coming up.
Yes.
Yes, this little girl that danced behind her. Yes.
Yes. And so that I would have seen you at IRFM, right?
Yeah.
Right, and also at Seville. And I was just asking...
I was at Seville also.
Yes, I know. And then I was also asking Janet to just know, did she learn a lot in terms of the Kikongo language from her mom? And she learned a bit.
Okay.
So, did you learn a bit too? Did you learn a lot?
Yes.
All right, so you know a little bit more than Janet?
Yes.
Right, so give me a little piece of what you're going to say in Kikongo now.
All right. She said, greeting everybody, Malem 8282. Malem Pangazin, Malem Pangazin men.
Malane Kent, woman. You understand?
No, I
So
don't.
it's Malane 8282, Malane Panga, Malane Kent.
Yes.
We're going to play the drum now. We come here, Mambo Gumasita, Mambo to your tower.
Right. I hear Bernice, that's a man. All right. So, well, condolences on the passing of your mom, but I feel confident that her spirit lives, and her spirit lives in yourself, in your sister, in the big family that is back there. And even though you're mourning, I can still hear her energy coming through you. So, and her spirit strength coming through you. So, my sister, keep heart, and all the best from all of us here at IRFM. And I'm sure all of Jamaica want to say condolences to you and the family.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
And we'll keep in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank
bye.
you very much.
All right. So the daughters there of Kumina Queen Bernice, and interestingly, and I'm sure a lot of persons are saying, "Oh, but we didn't know." It is true that this Kumina Queen who has passed, Bernice, that if for some reason we're just getting the information out there, and sometimes it happens like that. But once again, our condolences to them, and at the same time, we're saying we're hearing in her daughters the spirit of Bernice, the spirit of Kumina is strong and lives on. Now, 4 minutes after 7 o'clock, we're going to go to the phone lines now to speak with the Reverend Jonathan Mullings of the Ocho Rios Baptist Church, and also Mr. Noel Lawrence. And we're going to be talking to them about Fisherman's Beach. You know, here in Ocho Rios, the fishermen and fisherfolk on Fisherman's Beach in Ocho Rios are under threat. We have been talking about that. We heard from the UDC that what needs to be done on the beach itself. There are many suggestions on the board, but last time we heard from the UDC, we took away from that. The understanding we got was that even though there were suggestions to remove the fishermen from the beach and then do the work, they were open to discussing this further. Now, we're just stopping by to have a quick chat, just a 5-minute chat or so, with Reverend Jonathan Mullings of the Ministers Fraternal and Mr. Noel Lawrence about that. We just want a quick update on that. Later on in the program, we're going to be talking about the Cockpit country.
Hello?
All right, so we do have Reverend Jonathan Mullings and Mr.
Carlton.
Sorry, Carlton. I don't know why I keep calling you Jonathan, and I know it's Carlton your name, but it's because you're right, Jonathan. Give me.
Jonathan is a Baptist minister.
That is quite true. Yes, you see that though.
Okay, yeah, man.
So the Reverend Carlton Mullings, and is Mr. Noel Lawrence there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Lawrence, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Reverend Mullings, I'm going to go to you first on the Ministers Fraternal. And I said you're from the Baptist Church, but which church are you from again, Reverend Mullings?
I'm from the Church of Christ.
From the Church of
Christ.
Right. Right. So, Reverend Mullings, I know you have been following up what's happening at the Fisherman's Beach, and we know that we see some work happening somewhere down there, but just a quick update from you. You had a meeting with the fisher folk recently. When was this?
On Wednesday. The Fraternal had a meeting with them.
Right. And what was the reason for the meeting?
Well, we understand that UDC are the powers that be were giving them some ultimatum, and they were quite uneasy about it and were seeking our guidance. Mm-hmm. And of course, we stand up for justice.
Yes.
And while we are not in any way opposed to improvement, we are standing firm on justice, that they have to be treated right. Mm-hmm. We are quite concerned that the fisher folk in Ocho Rios are being treated as squatters when they outdated predated the UDC. They have been there some 60-odd years or more.
they cannot be treated as squatters.
No.
And they have to be treated as professional people, as ordinary folks who are reaching out a decent living, who are contributing, truly contributing to the economy of Ocho-Rios. We were really taken aback, surprised at the cleanliness of the place when we took a tour of it. I mean, it's a little village, and we're surprised at the ingenuity of the fisher folk, pardon me, and what they have done there in Ocho-Rios as they edge their living. So we're standing firm with them in that regard, that they have to be treated right, that discussions have to be treated, they have to be discussed in a business professional way. And we want to make sure that guarantees are given to them that if for any reason they have to be temporarily moved out of the air, off the beach, that guarantee has to be given that they will be returned when it is completed,
right, and
that their livelihood will continue.
Right, and this I think that is exactly the crux of the matter, and crux in the language or its spell and or its sound, because it seems to me that if you vacate the property, if you leave, then you are literally surrendering it. And I would suggest that they build around them and build while they're there, move them left, right, and center, and go and build. Let me ask you, Mr. Noel Lawrence, did you tell us about this ultimatum that you got? When did this happen?
I think that happened on sometime in September. And they come and make a declaration that there is unsanitary convenience and the old set of drugs and all these things. So when I take that for a tour, then it pleases him what he sees.
So did they make, I know you were all in the studio, many of the fisher folk were here in the studio, Reverend Mullings also was here in the studio. Was there another development since that time in terms of what the UDC has said to you?
No, we have not met with UDC no time at all. All these things are just chattings and words in the air. They have not met with us. We have no dialogue with them, no confrontation, nothing at all.
Who have you met with since you were last year in the studio?
No, none of these people come and meet us. Nobody at all. No mayor, no councillor, no MP, no representative from UDC. Nobody at all have our interest at heart and pay us a visit.
Mr. Reverend Mullings.
Yes.
So the only persons who have met with the fisher folk since the last time would have been the Minister's Fraternal.
Yes, since the last time. But there was a television on one of the television news media about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The UDC folks and the Ministry of Tourism were talking about the development that will be taking place at the Ocho-Rios Fisherman's Beach. That came over and that raised a number of questions in our minds, and that's why we get back in contact with the fisher folk to find out exactly what is taking place.
So this conversation is being had behind the backs of the fisher folk on Fisherman's Beach, even though we had the UDC managing director call in on that day, and we had the councillor, Dr. Williams,
That's right, Dr. Williams, yes,
who was here in the studio. We had the Member of Parliament, who is Shahini Robbins, who was here in the studio. I spoke to the MP just on Friday to ask, what was the new developments on this, and she says, as far as she's concerned, there are no new developments. Things remain as they are. Nothing has changed. But I hear you saying, Reverend Mullings, that the Minister of Tourism and the UDC was saying on another station that they were going to be developing the area.
That's correct. That was so, and that was one of the things that raised our concern much more, because we want to make sure that the fisher folks are being treated as professional people, as responsible people, and as a part of the whole development process. That they must not just be pushed out and trampled underfoot. Those days are past, and the church stands resolute that we are for order, we are for development, we are for anything that raises standard of living and the aesthetics of the community and so on. But on the other hand, we stand resolute on the rights of the people and on them being treated honestly as a responsible part of the whole society.
So
that is where we stand.
Right. So what now? Where do we go from here? What Mr. Lawrence? What would you want to see done? Would you agree? Would the group agree? The fisher folk on Fisherman's Beach agree if they are told by the UDC, in other words, by government, that if you move off, we will put you back on? Would you agree to such a situation?
Definitely no. If in case somebody move and then they have a upgrading of the place and so many other things take place, it's a poor chance for us to get back and operate as normal. So you see, it's not good for us to leave, because first and foremost they are saying that some people are going to get back shops, some people are going to get back states, is going to regulate on a different angles. So they are having different issues, not meeting us, but just letting words in the ear. So that's what puzzles our mind right now. If they are really serious that they are going to renovate the place and give us back our rightful place, or it is a chance to get us moved, that they could utilize it in their own ways. That's what really affects fishermen right now. Reverend
Mullings, is there something abusive in the way that this is being done? And I'm talking about psychological abuse. Because you can't be out there in the open talking about human beings, people, souls. You're going to move these people. Well, you're going to develop this area. People are watching the news, listening to the news, and they see you as a high and mighty tourism ministry or UDC. You're not talking directly to the people, but you're making these pronouncements out in the open. That, to me, is psychological abuse.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is, and not only is it psychological abuse, it is stirring up the people for the type of reaction that we do not want. We do not want any violence. We do not want anything that will interfere with the tourism sector, with the normal life and activity of the community of the town of Ocho-Rios. We don't want that. Things have to be done peacefully, with regards to everybody, to rights and the contributions that everybody in the society can make. And the fisher folks, as we said, are making a valuable, as a matter of fact, an invaluable contribution to the whole development and ongoing economy of the town. And we want them to be treated rightly.
And we have, I have in my possession documents about the development of the Center and Order, which show that what the UDC is planning would be against that. And one of the things that I want to do is to sit down, because we've been talking about this, go through that with an attorney on air to kind of understand what rights the people have. You talk, Reverend Mullings, about the 60-odd years and possibly more that these fishermen folk have been in that spot, and now you're calling them squatters?
That cannot be. It absolutely cannot be. The church will not be sleeping on this at all. We will be vigilant. We want to see Ocho-Rios develop and the town get the best, but we also want the fishermen to come out on top of things as well.
And this is
they're a valuable part of it.
And this is where journalism is failing the people to a large extent, because when on journalism we're talking about guarding democracy, we're guarding the right of the big man to oppress the small man. We're guarding the right of the government to put them both in the necks of the ordinary Jamaican. This to me, one of the issues that we're raising here in this space at this time is how can fisherfolk on Fisherman's Beach stand their ground with our support as media, as journalists, as the church, peacefully, and maintaining their dignity and their livelihood without government accusing them of any kind of anarchy or anything like that. It is possible, isn't it, Reverend Mullings?
Oh, of course it's possible. Eternal vigilance is a protection of democracy. We believe that, and the rights of the people have to be in the forefront. It has to be, everything is planned around the rights of the people. And yes, journalism and the journalists should come to expose more of these sort of injustices that are going on in the society, and as far as we are concerned right now in the Ocho area, definitely more exposure. As a matter of fact, what's happening at Winifred Beach, or what has happened at Winifred Beach, shows, and congratulations to you and the folks
and
there.
The team, yes, and the hard-working team of the Winifred Benevolent Society, yes.
Yes.
And Reverend Mullings, it shows also that, when you stand your ground and when you stand for something, that it's patience that it takes, and you stand on your principles. This is what the Winifred Benevolent Society and the folks on the Winifred Beach have proven to the entire Jamaican society, that you can stand up and fight for that which is right. And justice can be had. It's not yet finished. We're going to talk about that later. But we have these issues here in Otrias with Fisherman's Beach, with Little Duns River. We have these issues in Hanover. We have these issues in Negril. We have these issues, in Westmoreland generally. So that in St. Mary, and as we reflect and think about what has happened on Winifred Beach, I think for us, Winifred must be a model. And we must say to the folks on Fisherman's Beach, stand your ground and fight, and we will stand with you.
Amen. Amen to that. I say amen to that. And that is where we stand with them too. We are there with them. So long as it is going to be done in a peaceful way. We do not want any violence. We do not support that type of thing. But a resolute firmness, yes, if we have to take to the streets, we are prepared to do that in a peaceful way. But we are standing with the fishermen on this matter. That's where the church in Ocho stands.
That is where the church stands, and that's where the media in Ocho stand. Thank you very much. Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell your team, stand their ground. We're standing with you.
Let me a second just to endorse this.
Yes.
We are not the fowl that lay the eggs. We are not the cow that give the milk, but we are the pigs that give the ham. Because of our life, it's so serious that we have put our life in serving this community, and every time we go to sea, our life is at risk. So we want Jamaica and the rest of the world to see that fisherman is valuable, very much valuable in feeding the nation.
Thank you so much, my brother. Fight on. Fight on. Just before we leave this, Mr. Lawrence, we understand that UDC has made a proposal to meet with you folks on Tuesday. Is that correct?
No, not that we have known of.
Oh.
It has not reached our ears as yet.
You got that from UDC, Rev?
No, I got that from one of the members of one of the officers of the Fisher Folk last night. And I think she was asking me if the church can be represented in that the UDC is to meet with them on Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
That might have been possible, but I was off the beach for like 2 days paying some attention to my sister business. So it might have happened unknown to me. And I've never get a call about it, neither too.
All
so
right.
it's possible.
All right. Well, Rev, you keep us informed with what's happening there.
We surely will.
All right. Thank you very much. Fight on.
You're very well.
Fight on.
Bye-bye.
Fight on, brothers, fight on and free your land. Fight on, sisters, fight on and free your fellow man. Africa has got to be free by 1983. Come on, make us see, brothers.
It's an interesting thing that's happening here in Jamaica, where the trustees of our wealth, our land, our resources, the trustees, because this is a representative democracy. And this is why I can't say this often enough, that I am disappointed that top journalists in Jamaica, that the Press Association, newspaper, media, radio, television, sat down, practitioners in a meeting, and came out of the meeting with a theme for Journalism Week in 2014, guarding democracy. I am disappointed because this is democracy at work. The UDC has the right to develop the land. The Urban Development Corporation, it's a democratic institution. It's part of democracy. We cannot guard that. Not our job to guard that. Because what the UDC is planning to do don't sound so good. As in the case with Winifred Beach, and by the way, the UDC still operates Winifred Beach. But this is the way it is supposed to be, that the UDC is not the enemy of the people, but the trustee of the resources, actually resources owned by the people. And the UDC is the trustee. When the thinking and the paradigm within the UDC changes to understand that, is when we will see justice in Jamaica. So fight on, brothers at Fisherman's Beach. Fight on, sisters at Fisherman's Beach. Stand your ground. If you move from there, let them build around you, so them build your shift. You know, when you sit down somewhere, somebody cleaning the house, and you can't get up here right now, and wipe on your foot. Lift up your foot, but then wipe on it. Pull a chair, so they can clean the. But let them build around you. Stand your ground. The day you leave that beach is the day you lose that village. Fight on. And wherever in Jamaica you are, and you have been occupying spaces which are public spaces, in which the UDC is a trustee, you can't just willy-nilly be moved off those spaces. And the UDC must understand that. Democracy allows the UDC to interpret the thing differently. And democracy allows the NHK to interpret the thing differently. That's why we're not guarding no democracy. We're questioning democracy, and we are questioning democratic institutions. Fight on, my brothers. Fight on, my sisters. Fight on. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. Do not move. Not one blade of grass. And if them cross, you know what they did in Guyana.
Fight on, brothers. Fight on. Fight on and free your land. Fight on.
By the way, just before you go say what I never say, what they said in Guyana was that not a blade of grass, and if them cross, we kick them in the ASS. That's what they said in Guyana. All right, nothing else. Anyway, we're not saying kick the UDC. We're saying stand your ground and kick against injustice and kick against oppression. We've come this long and we have come thus far. And the elephants that brought us have since died. In front of us stand the UDC. In front of us stand the NHT. And they want both our swords and our blood and our land. It is a critical struggle. For if we lose, we're lost forever. We will find a way, or we will make one. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. Let me just make one thing clear. The fight on Winifred Beach, with some people, I know some persons say 5 years, some people say 7 years, and some people would talk longer, say it's longer. The court battle lasted over 3 years. This is what must be known. The struggle in terms of once you notice and recognized that you are about to lose the land and lose a public space, the struggle lasted, is a 7-year struggle. First time I went to Winifred Beach, it was 1980 something, 88, 87. Wasn't aware of no struggle then, but over the years. So my recollection of a struggle for Winifred Beach, this has been a 7-year-long battle. The court case has been going on for over 3 years. Fight on. Fight on.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
At 7:34, where you're inside of the Africa Forum, it's Running African. In this segment of the program, we're going to be talking about Jamaica's last wilderness area, the Cockpit country. And joining me in studio, activist filmmaker I've been calling her. All right, Esta Figaro, Dr. Esta Figaro is an award-winning Jamaican independent filmmaker, writer, educator, and linguist with over 30 years of media making, including television programming, documentaries, educational videos, multimedia, and feature film. And by the way, we've been watching some of those educational videos online. And I've been watching them. I'm going to talk to Dr. Figaro about that later. I've been watching them with my 6-year-old daughter. So that when my husband came home last night, she was all excited. Daddy, we watch a movie. It's about the Cockpit country. And I thought, this is the way I've always said that it should be, that we should have these kinds of documentaries. Don't even know why I didn't know they existed, so many of them, but we watched it last night. Anyway, so Dr. Figaro is an activist filmmaker, and she focuses on the environment, local knowledge, indigenous cultures, social injustice, and community empowerment, giving voice to those outside of mainstream media. Her films have been televised and screened all over the world and are taught at numerous universities. Her films include the award-winning feature documentary Jamaica for Sale. If you recall, we talked so much about Jamaica for Sale when it just came out here in this space. And her most recent works are the environmental shorts I Live for Art and Ecocide Romance in 2013, and also Sanctuary in 2014. Dr. Figaro writes in a variety of genre, fiction and non-fiction, prose and poetry on a wide range of topics, and you'll hear about some of those as we go on. Her publications include Sociolinguistic Meta Theory, Dr. Figaro, and At Home, The Green Remains. Limbo is her second novel, but first to be published, and she lives right here in Jamaica. I'm very, very happy and pleased to welcome to the studios and to the Africa Forum, Dr. Esta Figaro. Dr. Figaro.
What a big up.
I like it, you know.
Thanks so much, boy. It's been years,
Yes.
Finally reached.
You know, I talked about Jamaica for Sale so much. As a matter of fact, I think it has become part of my vocabulary. And so I just probably own it, you know.
Yeah, man.
I no longer give you credit. You know?
But, you know, that's so true with filmmakers. Our films go out there and it's like we never made them, you know. People just claim them.
After a while, it becomes that, I'm telling you. But so happy to have you. I know that you've been coming through the rain and coming through the mountains. I mean, to get here.
Yeah, man. We, you know, lovely rain. The gorge is flooded. We went to a junction. Took a little while. I love that road. I love to see the St. Mary coast. It's nice after the terrible drought and everything. It's nice. The rain is late. You know, this is October rain and we're almost in December. But it's nice, man. And I'm so happy that you were watching the films with your daughter. That's so lovely.
Yes, I did. Sometimes she cover her face with it, like with the lizards and the big ones.
We have to talk about the phobia, you know. We have to stop that phobia.
After a while, honestly, it's true because she get that from me. But anyway, after a while now, she just say, okay, oh, wow, snake.
So yeah, we just have to get used to it.
It became fun after a while. I was really happy that gradually she just warmed to the thing. You can watch it with your children. It's really, really nice. And are they available just to just go online and get them? Because you sent me some of those.
Well, you know, they're up on YouTube. So if you go to my channel, it's called Esta Figaro, Figueroa, or just Google me. They're all up there on my channel. And the only thing that's not up is Jamaica for Sale, because we don't have streaming rights with the music.
Okay.
So that you can go to JamaicaForSale.net and you'd have to order it, or you can Jamaica Environment Trust probably still has some copies. If you're in Kingston, you can get from them.
Well, when we were finished watching the shorts last night, my daughter and myself, and we were doing it over a period of time, not just last night, but the last thing she said, you know, when I think we wrapped up all the watching, was she wanted to go to the Cockpit country.
Yes, that's what we want, you know, to have a feeling for a place and to love it and to want to protect it. But, you know, I heard you talking about Winifred, and I just want to big up the people of Winifred because it's been a long struggle. And as you know from Jamaica for Sale, one of the key issues is that we don't own the beach. We don't own the shoreline. In Jamaica, you can privatize the beach and the shoreline. It's up to the so-called wet mark, which means where the high tide is. But all that means is that you what's called traverse. The law says that you can walk across the wet part of the beach. That means you come from the sea and you walk across it, right?
You know, where we were talking to Mr. Morrison from the Tourist Board many, many moons ago, and he quoted that very same law. And there's the exact same thing I said to him. Does that mean that we all have to come in from the sea?
Yeah, man, you have to be a fisherman and come in on a canoe and then you can walk across people's land. That don't make no sense. It should be all public property.
But Esther, we should test that law. We should all just come from the sea.
Yes, well,
and just walk.
Well, that would be a fabulous act. We should have a flash mob, you know, one of those social media things, and just have everybody coming from the sea.
Yes,
that would be. You know, we need to do some really creative forms of protest in Jamaica.
I think so. I would test that law in a moment.
But people also have walls and things that they're not supposed to have. People have all barbed wire and things sticking out in the sea, and that is outright illegal.
I've seen and removed many of those. And you mentioned Winifred Beach. I want to talk to Carla Gulata in a little while. Also, Cynthia Miller, who has been on the beach for many, many, many moons, selling on the beach there as an entrepreneur, and also with the managing director of the UDC, Mr. Malcolm. They all will be joining me, Desmond Malcolm, on the phone lines when about 9:30, just to look ahead to next week Sunday. and to talk about what has transpired.
Oh, great. Well, you know, then I was going to quote John Maxwell, and I think I will anyway, the late, great John Maxwell. He used to call UDC Urban Destruction Company. Now, I know you're very kind to UDC, but we have to ask, right? Why is something that's supposed to be urbanizing? Think of a place like Kingston, downtown Kingston, right? The crime of many centuries, that they have allowed that place, that they have removed poor people, that they have allowed that place to fall into such a disgrace. All right? That is an urban area. Why is a company that is supposed to be, why do they own shoreline properties? I don't understand. Why do you go into rural areas and urbanize them when you have urban areas? Montego Bay is falling apart as we speak. Okay?
Yes.
Why doesn't an entity that is supposed to deal with urban development develop urban areas and leave rural areas alone? I don't understand.
It's a question that needs to be answered, and we don't understand it either. And I even go a little bit, off, tangent when I talk about, is the UDC a trustee? Can the UDC actually own? The UDC doesn't own the land? Did they buy it?
It's one of the stranger, Port Authority and UDC. We have these strange kind of quasi-governmental, quasi-independent. What are they? They can basically do whatever they want. Where is the oversight? Who has the oversight over these entities?
These are questions that, as I said, the questions are more important than the answers sometimes. But we just continue asking the questions. All right. So let's talk about the Cockpit country. Beautiful, one of the most beautiful places in the world, actually, the Cockpit country. I want to go forward and then come back.
Yes.
Is the Cockpit country in danger?
Yes, it's what we call
country. I want to go forward and then come back.
Yes.
Is the Cockpit country in danger?
Yes, it's what we call under threat, right? What we have to go back to understand. First, let's just talk about a bit, for those who don't know where the Cockpit country is and things like that. The Cockpit country is in the western central interior part of Jamaica. It makes up about 1/10 of the landmass of Jamaica. It is in the parishes of Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, St. James, a little bit of St. Anne, and a little even smaller bit of Manchester. Okay? It's incredibly important to Jamaica for a number of reasons. It provides 40%, okay, of our fresh water.
40%.
40% of our fresh water. Okay?
That's a lot. When you say 40% of our Jamaica's fresh water.
Jamaica's fresh water. It fits to 6 parishes. Okay? And the reason why is because they're basically, all of Jamaica used to be forest, right? And over the years, with the various movements of colonizing entities, it has been destroyed. And so you basically have 2 kind of intact forest areas, more or less. You have Blue and Jonkra Mountains, which is a protected area. You have Cockpit country, which is not a protected area, though the forestry reserves under the forestry law are supposed to be protected. And then you have places like around Hellshire, Portland Bight protected area, which is a prected area, which is a whole other story.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what happens is Cockpit country is what's called a wet limestone forest. It's limestone, okay? What is limestone? Limestone is, Jamaica used to be under the sea, right? It came up about 12 million years ago. And for those millions and millions of years, all those sea creatures, all right? Corals, everything you can think of. When they die, right? They become fossilized. What that means is they become hardened, and that creates our structure, right? So just like our bones, our structure, that is Cockpit country, the limestone, that is a structure. Now, so what happens is, because there's forest, that attracts the rain, all right? The trees attract rain. That's why if you live someplace with no trees, you'd have no rain, all right? We have to have trees for rain. What people don't realize is the water in the world has been here on this planet from day one. There's no new water. People don't understand this. Water, you can't make water and it's not coming from nowhere else. It's a tiny fresh water. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny amount on the planet. Okay, and it just gets recycled through the cycle. It goes up and it comes down. Okay,
I think China realizes this. Just a segue a bit, and that is why the entire Roaring River watershed is they have identified that as a place that they want.
Got that straight. Okay, so all right. So the trees in this wet limestone forest, they attract the rain. Some places get up to 12 feet in a year. Okay, it rains almost every day in a lot of places. But what happens now is because it's limestone, it's porous, so it rains. It doesn't stay on the surface. In Cockpit country, water is a hard thing to find. Okay, it percolates down now. It's called karst geology because of the way you have the ups and downs, the hills and the sinkholes and all of that. About 50% of it is underground. Okay, so what happens is it rains, the water percolates underground, and it has Jamaica's best natural reservoir. Is all that water underground. That water then slowly feeds all the different watersheds and rivers. 6 major rivers, all right? The Martha Brae, the Montego are 2 largest, right? Which is Great River and Black River. 6 major rivers that flow to the north, the south, and the west. All that water comes from Cockpit country.
Right, and I think this is not well known in Jamaica, that so much of the headwater for so much of the rivers, so much of large bodies of water actually originate in the Cockpit country.
They originate in Cockpit country.
And so that, and this is why I asked you before, the first question I asked is the Cockpit country under threat? Because when you understand all of that, and you understand that might be under threat, then what is the end result in terms of how Jamaica might be impacted?
Right, because another thing to think of. Well, first of all, let's think of what that means. Okay, so all the North Coast, right? Resorts, hotels, villas, all the accommodations, and all the people who work in those accommodations depend on the water from the Cockpit country. The cruise ship here, okay, cruise ship ports, Falmouth. That's Martha Brae water. Okay, the attractions. Okay, glistening waters that depends on Martha Brae. Rafting on Martha Brae. On the other side, when you go down Black River, Wyas Falls, Appleton Rum, all of that is Cockpit country water. Okay, so and then the people who depend on the water I would say is well over 500,000 Jamaicans who depend on it. Even more, I would say.
Yes,
all right, more than that. So I would say even 1 million. All right, who knows with statistics in Jamaica? They're hard to understand. All right,
but then considering the rivers, they talk about 6 rivers in
and
so
those are 6 major rivers. We're not talking about the small ones. All right, but there's another thing. It's connected to a half of Jamaica, and this is something we have to understand. As human beings, we're used to maps and borders and boundaries that don't make no sense. We have these parishes. Where those parishes come from? You understand?
Yeah.
Nature don't have these boundaries, you know. Nature have its own flow, right? And there's something called connectivity. These are the corridors of connectivity between weather systems and water systems and animals and plants and all those things. And so Cockpit country is connected to at least half of Jamaica in terms of its flow and connectivity. All right? And if you think about it, cools the air. Okay? So it's helping us against global warming. It provides clean air. And here we come again to understand something called climate change, all right? And Cockpit country's role in all of that. Trees absorb, as do soil, they absorb carbon dioxide. So you say, okay, what do I have to do with anything, all right? Man-made climate change, that means the weather patterns changing, drought, severe storms, those kind of things. The fact that now we're having October rain in December, whatever, all right? It's changing. Why? Because we put too much what's called greenhouse gases, all right? We took too much carbon from under the ground. We burnt it in fossil fuels, coal, all right? We're talking about having coal plants in Jamaica. We expose too much of the Earth's insides, okay? And these are called greenhouse gases. They raise the temperature, they create changes, okay? Well, trees, part of the problem is we cut down all the trees, all right? Trees absorb carbon dioxide, and then the soil holds it. Okay? So Cockpit country is helping us fight, slow down climate change. And what does that mean? It absorbs every year like 10 million tons of carbon dioxide. And it holds like 1 million, you understand? So when you cut down those trees, they no longer absorb the carbon dioxide. And when you dig up the soil, you're releasing all of this. And what does that mean? We might not care, but it affects us because we're vulnerable to it. All right? We don't have the money to deal with the drought. We don't have the money to deal with it don't rain. None of those things. We can't deal with the rising temperatures. All right? So Cockpit country is cooling the air, it's cleaning the air, and it's helping us with climate change. And so those things, when you think about it, what they call the natural services that Cockpit country provides to Jamaica, it's in the billions of US dollars annually. And we don't have an economic system that really understands that and can count it.
Well, that's the thing. You can't count it, so it doesn't exist. Well, I'm just saying, cynically. But let me ask you this, Dr. Figaro. What is happening in the Cockpit country now? How has the Cockpit country changed over the last decade, for example?
Well, I wanted to give the background so people would understand how precious Cockpit country is to Jamaica. And we don't even get into the things about the natural herbs and the plants that are in there. We don't talk about the rare species. You know, Cockpit country is globally important. Okay, it has plants and animals that exist nowhere else in the world. Not only nowhere else in the world, some are only on one hill in Cockpit country.
Yeah, right? I saw some of your videos. I saw a lizard with 2 eyes and
Anyway,
I never seen anything like that, honestly.
Look, when we get to the threats, what's happening is this, all right? I don't know if you remember in 2006, they gave prospecting mining licenses in Cockpit country. Cockpit country, of course, is limestone, right, as is most of Jamaica, and has very large bauxite reserves, which are owned by bauxite companies like Kaiser, owned thousands of acres and whatnot in Cockpit country. So in 2006, they gave out these prospecting mining licenses. And there was an organized effort by the people of Cockpit country, right? Say, no, we don't want this. So then in 2007, early, and that's when I made the first film that came out, Cockpit Country's Voices from Jamaica's Heart, right? That has everybody in it. Colonel Petty, the late Colonel Petty, who I love saying, you know, school children, small farmers, everybody. Miss Lillian Bolt, you know, who is sure with content, you know, because we all know the Bolts come, you know, they were moved, the Bolts were removed from their land in St. Anne because of bauxite and placed in the middle of nowhere. Okay.
And her story is really moving on.
It's very moving, all right? So yes. So what happened then is the government said no mining in Cockpit country. Yay, okay, but you know there's always a Samfi journalist going on, right? So then they said, okay, let us now define where Cockpit country is.
Hold that little. Let me take a quick break and come back. 7:54, you're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running Africa and Dr.Esta Figaro talking to us about Cockpit country. There is so much that I'm sure we can't get through everything. We're going to open the phone lines later on so you can ask questions and make your comments. But now we come to defining Cockpit country, where Cockpit country actually is.
Right, so that's the crux of the matter. So what happened was the government commissioned a study that was done by UE. And what they did was, well, different entities proposed, right, where the boundaries of Cockpit country should be, okay? Now, there's a group called the Cockpit country stakeholders that organized. And they're the only group that proposed, right, that the boundaries must include history and culture, all right? How you can talk about Cockpit country and not talk about the Maroons and the Maroon Wars and the Taino and the history and all and the culture and how Jamaicans identify with that place. All right? So most of the boundaries, for example, did not include a compound. How?
And that was how the government was defining it. The commission, the study that was commissioned.
What happened is the commission, the study, right?
Excluded.
And there are a number of boundaries that are proposed. Okay?
All right.
And I'm saying that most of these boundaries only considered, for example, what is called geology, which is the so-called karst geology, which is the shape and a certain defining notion, all right? Or maybe they included some notion about biology or what's called ecology, the plants and animals and things like that, all right?
But the cultural heritage.
We insist, right? You must include the heritage, the culture, the history, because that defines Cockpit country as well.
Explain to us why that defines Cockpit country.
Because when you ask a Jamaican, what is Cockpit country? Some of them will tell you, yeah man, that's where water come from. But most will tell you, or they will say, you have parrots over there, or it's beautiful, right? All which is true. But most will say that's where the Maroons, right?
Yeah, that is true. And I remember being in a compound a few years, many moons ago, just doing a documentary, a radio documentary, and I stayed up there for a while. And I mean, that's in my documentary that we went up to the Cockpit country. That was like in the 90s, early 90s. Yeah.
Of course.
So all about the Cockpit country. We defined it, understood it to be so.
Of course, and also why it's important is self-identification, right?
Yes.
Because if I say, right, if I ask you where you come from and you say you come from Cockpit country, right? How am I to say you don't come from Cockpit country?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But why those kind of things were not considered is because it makes it the most narrow and small boundary possible. See? The interests of the mining interests, and one could therefore say the government interests that are aligned with the mining interests, want it to be defined as narrowly and small as possible, right? Because then when them come to mine, right, a compound or wherever, you say, but wait, you said no mining in Cockpit country. You say, but we're not mining. We're not mining in Cockpit country. Cockpit country is over so, where nobody live. Understand? So what happened then is the study was done. They had what they call public consultation. They met with people, all sorts of people. Everybody gave their input, right? And then they did the report. The report was released last year, right? The report said the majority of the people of Cockpit country want Cockpit country to be preserved. They want pharmaceutical, the understanding of the plants and the herbs. They want very, kind of environmental tourism, that kind of thing. They do not want it to be dug up for limestone and for bauxite. And they also recommended that it not be mined for various reasons, okay? So the government was in the cabinet. They still have not released and made their decision, okay? So they were in meetings earlier this month and were supposed to make a decision. But then you have outer many and all this kind of foolishness come up. So probably it will be delayed yet again, and we still don't know, right? Which boundary did you choose? Where will you allow mining? So the threats are deforestation, whether through mining or through logging or through any of that. Right? Pollution.
I'm going to stop you, Esther, because I want to go over everything you just said.
Yeah.
Because it I know I heard it, but I want it to be understood. All right. So a study was commissioned in 2006. 2007. In 2014, that study was released?
2013, yes.
2013.
Yes.
Right. How much years? So many years
So we're waiting
later.
and waiting.
Right.
I mean, so 2007 is where the then government says there will be no bauxite mining in Cockpit country.
Right.
Okay. Then they say, okay, but now we have to define where Cockpit country is.
Right.
And we're still waiting. We're saying, okay, what did you decide? Right? And then recently, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute, I don't know if you saw something in the paper, but they have released their studies with 6 different boundaries, of which 2, I don't know where it came from, because the commission was 4 boundaries. So there are 6 boundaries now being talked about. One of them is theirs. I don't know what the other ones are. Okay? Talking about how much money they're going to lose. Right? So it's like this. if you decide on this boundary, we're going to lose this amount of billion of dollar. And and that one,
they're going to lose this from what? For mining bauxite out of Cockpit country.
What they're saying is if you choose this boundary, right, then we will not have access to this amount of tons of bauxite, and we will lose this amount of money.
All right. So the JBI is seriously considering mining in a Cockpit country.
What do you mean seriously? Everybody is seriously
Excuse me, but me have to ask a question.
No, man, that's the threat, right? Is that there will be bauxite mining in Cockpit country. The question is, where is Cockpit country? Okay? And so we have to stop the madness. We have to understand, right? Do the math. Okay? You're going to go in, you're going to dig it out within 30 years, 20 years. It's gone. There's no money. Where's the money coming from? Do we remember the bauxite collapse in 2008? Do we realize that their bauxite factories closed at the moment? Ask the people in St. Elizabeth and Nairn, right? What is going on? All right?
One of the things that you have done in the many films that you have made about the threat of bauxite mining and also just looking at Cockpit country, lots of information coming from, for example, Hugh Dixon talked about the impact of bauxite mining, looking at what was done in St. Ann and Manchester and so on. And for me, it was stark because I didn't even know some of what I learned from the film, that when you dig out, you're required to put back soil, but the amount of soil you put back, and then nothing can grow on that ever again.
Correct. Let's talk a bit about the impact of bauxite mining, because it's something... just like tourism, that we pretend that we don't want to look at the truth, the same comes from bauxite mining. The first thing to remember is that bauxite mining in Jamaica, so the law, right, the mining law, came under a colonial government, all right? This is from the 40s, all right? So the mining law is from the 40s, right? So it was set up, as all colonial desire in Jamaica was, right, is to take and take and take and leave nothing behind. Okay? It's called extraction. All right? So basically, our bauxite was dug up, our land, our soil, okay? The soil is the most important thing along with the water and the air. Okay, roots. What is roots? In the soil. Where do we come from? We come from the sea and the soil. Okay? That is dug up and sent so that already developed countries can develop, right? I have a film I want to make on bauxite and aluminum called Fly Me to the Moon, because Jamaica provided a quarter of our bauxite, provided a quarter of North American aluminum, okay? So they were able to fly to the moon because of us and our soil. And what did we get? We got over 300,000 Jamaicans displaced from their land, okay? Why do people have to go foreign? Why was there one of those exoduses? There was exoduses from the rural areas to go to foreign or to come to town, okay? And we know the ramifications of that, the destruction of community, the loss of heritage, the loss of food security, crime, everything, okay, comes from that moment. So we have to ask, what did we get? In the 70s, when Michael Manley tried to raise the thing so that the levy and whatnot and set up the trust, which is now bankrupt, okay? They said, okay, we don't have to play with you. We will move to Guinea and oppress and enslave those people, okay? So we have to understand the notion of extraction, okay? So there's that. There's the fact that, do you know that if you have bauxite under your property, you don't own it?
Really?
They need to only give you 2 weeks notice, okay? And you have to, end of story, okay?
Hang on there, I'm going to come back. I'll take a quick break. That is democracy. All right, I'll take a quick break. I'm saying this because the theme for Journalism Week this week is guarding democracy. I'll be right back. 6 minutes now after 8 o'clock, and listen up. My very special guest in the studio, Dr. Esta Figaro, and boy, a revealing and emotional and passionate talk here about Cockpit country, emotional and passionate, because Dr. Figaro, you are actually stirring up all kinds of emotions in me, and I'm quite sure that this is how the listeners are feeling. That there is, when I watched Jamaica for Sale, I had a very similar reaction, is there's a feeling of, yes, we can do something. What do we do? And then there's a question of, but you fight and fight and fight and fight, and then there's always another thing to fight for. So let us go back to talk about Cockpit country and the bauxite mining. Lillian Bolt's story,
yes,
is an interesting story.
Yes.
Tell us about that in the broader context of what happens.
Right, and then let's get back to democracy and how this kind of thing can happen.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
and
yes.
the roots of it,
Yes.
right? And when will we ever have democracy in Jamaica is the question.
Is the question.
All right. So Miss Lillian Bolt, who is in Sherwood Content, a lovely, lovely, delightful person, is of course the aunt of the fastest man in the world. And what happened was they were from St. Anne. They were from a wonderful, beautiful place called Lime Tree Garden, okay? And I went to Lime Tree Garden after interviewing Miss Lillian back in 2007. And I videotaped beautiful old houses with, the care that was made, the little fretting and the touches of people who were carpenters, right? Who had skills, right? Who know so much. Cracked and deserted and abandoned, and graves sitting there covered, right, unattended to, right? Why? Because of bauxite. Okay, so what happened was people, and this is, by the way, in my novel Limbo as well, because that is one of the topics in the novel. Because what happens? Okay, people move mainly to England at that time from those rural areas. Or what would happen is the bauxite company would offer you land somewhere else. All right? Now, sometimes that land was more than your land,
Yes.
Could have been a bigger piece of property or whatnot. So, Miss Lily, excuse me, was young. She was a child, and the family moved to Windsor, okay, in Cockpit country. This is, as she put it, in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, you understand deep country roots, all right? They still, after they've been there for, how old is Miss Lily? Been there for, let's say, over 50 years or whatever. They still refer to them as the St. Anne people, because them don't come from there. You understand? It takes a long time. It takes generations and generations in a very deep country situation where people consider you part from there. And if you consider the maroon, all right, if you understand the maroon nature of there, of people who set up community in these kind of ways, all right? Outsiders always, right? So Miss Lily tells the story of that they were promised a community, right? So they were, as she said, dumped in the middle of nowhere, in the bush. They were promised market, church, and school, right? They got none of the above. And they used to walk 5 miles or whatever to go to school. And sometimes, it rainy, right? Like every day it raining. And sometimes, you don't have enough to eat or whatever. You don't feel like doing it. By the time you get to school, you're tired, right? You fall asleep. And we have to understand these situations because it still exists. When you watch a school picnic waiting for the transportation out in country, right, to come take them to school, and you see them out there for hours and hours. You know how tired you are when you get to school. How can you study? How can you pay attention, right? How do you have the fortitude, right? So what a very different life, from what
you were promised and the expectation that you might have had.
Or that you would have had if you had stayed in your community, right?
So, all right, so segue from that now back to, because this is what the bauxite company does, and not many of us stop long enough to look at when people are moved, what happened to them and what happened to their families. I can relate to this because I have in-laws who were offered same thing from St. Anne and so on, and there's one particular in-law who's the only one who didn't sell, so they dig right around him. And that's an interesting situation also.
That is a very interesting situation. Those that stay and you are surrounded by pits. They dig all around you. Yes. And then for those that stay as well, there is the health risks, right? It's another thing we haven't done. You would have thought that, we would have studied public health, would have studied these communities, okay?
But Esther, talk about the public health. I was doing an interview recently with a top urologist on a program called Sex Wise, so it's not the space, right? And we were talking about why prostate cancer in Jamaica, why Jamaica has the highest incidence of prostate cancer in the world. And where specifically in Jamaica, we have like a spike in the incidences. And what came out in that interview was that in the bauxite mining areas. Now, I couldn't get not more out of him when I started to segue down that line, because this is something that people are not necessarily talking about. But that to me, just a study done on prostate cancer revealing this way over the other side.
Let's talk about democracy again and what is the purpose of government, okay? We have sacrificed our people. Okay? You just have to listen to the remarks of those of our dear leaders and the arrogance and the disdain they have for Jamaican people. Whether they're urban people or whether they are rural people. From day one, as you know, they have been sacrificed. They are simply objects to be part of somebody else's agenda. Okay? If we cared, if the government, if all of us really love Jamaica and Jamaican people, we would not allow this, because we simply give a little what? $1,000 a week or something, so-called nuisance pay, because of the dust nuisance. It's called a nuisance,
Yes.
We're talking the intense generational impact of pollution, the so-called red mud lakes. What is in there? Toxicity, okay? And it is pumped. A lot of it is injected into the caves and the underground systems, and then it's piled up in these lakes. The dust, the toxicity. And if we truly cared about our people, we would have studied this as a health fact, and we would easily be able to say, okay, here are the levels in this parish and this place, and it is because of the mud lake, and it's because of the pollutants in the air, and it is because of the polluted water, etc., etc. And we could trace that to the asthma and the various illnesses that people have. And we would care, instead of saying, well, that's just the price of progress, and some people are sacrificed, and some people don't matter.
Another case in point, I'm thinking as you talk about that, is the area, is it Yuatan?
Yes, Yuatan.
Where the fumes.
Yes.
There's this really foul scent.
Yes. As you drive by, you have to hold your breath.
Yes, but
people live there. Whole heap of people live there.
You're driving by and holding your breath, and people are standing on the road with bath caps on, just waiting for their transport.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what could be the health situation in that area?
Yes, well, and all over, because Manchester and all of that. And let me tell you something. Jamaica Environment Trust has a very interesting project that's been ongoing, where they've been going to mining communities, bauxite mining and Bull Bay and those sorts of places, and working with the community to teach them two things. One is access to information. That we have a law so that you can try and find out what's really going on. It's very difficult because the government can always say no.
I have about 3 out there now.
There you understand.
I'm waiting on who's the representative to the AU. Sorry, because I have to segue a little.
Yeah.
Jamaica's representative to the African Union. I'm waiting on the information regarding that. I am still waiting. Go ahead.
Yes,
Esther.
you can wait years and years and years. Jamaica Environment Trust is suing the government over trying to get access to information about the whole transshipment port, but they're still waiting on information about the Falmouth cruise ship pier that they're being denied, okay? So if the government is always denying you, you wonder what they're hiding, all right? So they've been training, helping the community with that, and also with really testing.
Good. Yes.
They've been given training and equipment to be able to test their air and water and things like that, okay?
That is brilliant. That is commendable. We must talk some more about that, because that training probably needs to be extended into some media houses and so on. Honestly, no, I'm just saying. I'm going to take another quick break. I want to come back and talk. You mentioned something, and we keep skirting around it, about if you own land and bauxite is on it, you really don't own it. So come back and you reiterate on that for us. Let's take a quick break. 17 minutes after 8 o'clock. Now I realize that I'm flooded with messages, but I got so caught up in the interview that I didn't even remember where my phone was. It is simple, and haven't signed on properly to the computers. But so forgive me. I'm going to get into that and then go right to the social media. We're also going to be opening the phone lines very, very shortly to get your questions in right after this.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Okay, because the last battle is for the mindset. All right, we're talking about Cockpit country. Dr. Esta Figaro helping us to understand the issues relating to Cockpit country and to understand a little bit more about Cockpit country itself. But Esther, you said something earlier that there is a law on the books that if you own land, this is your land, you think you own it because you bought it, but that if bauxite is there, it really isn't yours?
Well, it goes back to crown law, right? The notion of the crown and crown land and who owns what, right? So actually, I am not a lawyer, and so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I think in a sense, I don't think anyone really owns land, right?
True, yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not just speaking spiritually and ethically,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But I think ultimately, you might think you own property, but you don't, because if there is something the government wants, the crown, right? So it's probably not just bauxite, right? It's probably other things, right? If them have some other things they want, them can take it. But in terms of bauxite, it's in the law that you only really need to be given by the bauxite company 2 weeks notice, and they can come and take it. I just wanted to return. Why I was telling you about the work being done by Jamaica Environment Trust was because they brought from India one of the leading environmental lawyers, and I interviewed him about his experience going to visit these communities. He is amazing. He fought and won against the richest industrialists in India and their government. This is the people who own Tata cars and trucks that we know of. Largest industrialists who were going to bauxite mine out the indigenous people's sacred mountain. Okay? And for 10 years, they fought it. It went to the Supreme Court over and over and over, and they won for now. Okay? And when he came to Jamaica and saw the situation, and he saw that they had, you were talking about Uaton, that they had these toxic factories right across from schools and communities. He could not believe that there weren't laws, right? He could not believe that a government could so hate its own people and not protect them, that they would allow the little children, right, that the next generation would be subject to such health risks, okay? So something to think about.
It is something to think about and something to act on. We're very late. You have been on this forever in terms of ensuring that the media, which can give, voice to a lot of these issues, that the media is on board. Because I think that now that we know, we talk about bearing witness, and bearing witness involves not just looking on and watch, but once you know, what do you now do is a question. I know we have to get to trying to answer that, because so what do we do? What can we do? just ahead of Cashbot, which is coming up in 6 minutes. You know that I'm trying to move it because I know that, I mean, we have a lot and I really want to invite you. And I know it's not so easy for you to come from Kingston, but IFM is down here in OJ.
I know it's
It is what it is, you know.
Yeah, man,
So
I'll come
back
here,
and-
man.
yes.
I would love to come back lots and lots of times because I so appreciate what you do. You do, Ari does, you know. The thing is this, we are in this sense always in Jamaica. You know, I remember once showing Jamaica for sale to some students at UA, you know, and I wanted to cry because I was looking at them and I know that the Jamaican people are a good people. I know that Jamaican people are good in our heart. We are in an awful structure and we come from a very awful history, and so we often feel so overwhelmed and so overdone that it's so hard to imagine, right? Because everything you try, right, there's some other something there. And so I think we have to find everything. The churches, the religious people need to be involved, right? Because think about it, what are the two strongest institutions in Jamaica? Dance hall, right? Music, right? The artists, right? And the church.
Yes.
Those are the two strongest institutions in Jamaica.
We see the church getting involved, and we like that, and I agree with you. But we just want to identify the ministers fraternal, especially the Baptist ministers and the Church of Christ and so on. So they have the ministers fraternal, and you know they're walking hand in hand with, say, for example, the people at Fisherman's Beach, Little Duns River, you know, demonstrating.
Right. So we want to get a Christian, and it's not just Christian because it's Rasta. Is revival, is everybody in Jamaica.
Yes.
We want to get a spiritual and religious feel for nature and how it is at the foundation of who we are, okay? And then we want the people who make music and that children repeat verbatim over and over and over. We need them to have some messages that make us feel that we matter and can stand up and can change the world and can demand that our governments and ourselves and our people act in other ways. It's not just about aspiring to bling and fame and sobriety and all of that, all right? It's about believing that I, as an individual, have responsibility, have obligations, and that I matter.
Saying I matter, how do we move with that this morning? Persons who have listened, who have said, all right, so this whole thing is still up in the air. We know we heard about this in 07, 08, mining in the Cockpit country, and there was a big flare-up in terms of the conversations.
Always a flare-up and a flare-down.
Right. So what can people do?
The first thing is you have to start with yourself, right? Because it's so easy to say, them not doing anything, who is them? Just start with yourself, all right? Start with yourself and connect with yourself, with nature, and understand that the breath, every breath you take, should be in gratitude to nature, because it's nature that is allowing you to live, all right? And when you start from that position, right, then start to inculcate it in your life, in how you treat yourself and other people, how you understand nature, and how you act. And then from there, wherever you are in your yard, in your community, don't fling the garbage in the river, okay? Don't fling it in the bush, okay? Just basic things about how you live where you are, all right? And then take it from there to a bigger level, all right?
Start with me.
Start with the individual and then take it to a bigger level, okay? Wherever you are. If you are in church, all right? If you are in sports, if you're in music, if it's your friend playing dominoes, if you're in the rum shop, all right? Wherever you are, have a conversation with other people.
All right. So we're going to go to the Supreme Ventures cash pot draw, Dr. Figaro. So I'm going to give you a break, and you'll come back at 9 o'clock. So please stay with us, and you'll come back at 9 o'clock. That's when we open the phone lines for half an hour. We're taking your telephone calls for half an hour. Thank you so much, Dr. Figaro. She's going to come back and will be with us for half an hour as we take the telephone calls. And after that, we'll talk about Winifred Beach for just a few minutes. All right.
Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitter is gold. After story had never been told, so now you see the light.
Time on Area FM, it's 8:30.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up.
In just a few minutes, it will be time for the local and international headlines. And right after that, IRFM Sunday Sports Diary. Dr. Esther Figaro returns to the studio, and we'll be taking your telephone calls at 9 o'clock for half an hour. Also, we'll try and get in as many as your social media messages, your Twitter, Facebook, email, and so on. By the way, I'm on Twitter at Kabu, Ma'at Kheru, Kabu, K-A-B-U, Ma'at, M-A-A-T, Kheru, K-H-E-R-U. I'm on Facebook at Kabu, Ma'at Kheru Williams. And of course, you can email me at andrea.williams@irfm.net.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Most people think great God will come from the skies, take away everything and make everybody feel high.
Stand up for your right. And one of the things we're saying also is stand your ground, stand your ground, stand your ground. On your land, stand your ground.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up.
Public access is a right, not a privilege. Public access is a right, especially in situations where you are denied access to public areas such as the beach, such as the sea. A lot of tourists and a lot of even persons who lived in Jamaica for a while and have gone away for a while and haven't been keeping in touch in the way that you should, probably will be shocked to realize that public access to so many of Jamaica's beaches, so much of Jamaica's coastline is denied to the majority of Jamaicans.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right.
My sister Alde Thunker has sent me a quotation from, who is it from Alde? Anyway, let me read it. It says, our strategy should be not only to confront empire, but to lay siege to it, to deprive it of oxygen, to shame it, to mock it with our art, our music, our literature, our stubbornness, our joy, our brilliance, our sheer relentlessness, and our ability to tell our own stories. Stories that are different from the ones we have been brainwashed to believe.
Don't give up the fight.
The corporate revolution will collapse if we refuse to buy what they are selling, their ideas, their version of history, their wars, their weapons, their notion of inevitability. Remember this. We be many and they be few. They need us more than we need them. Another world is not only possible. She's on her way on a quiet day. I can hear her breathing. Brilliant. I haven't heard that one before, so I'm going to read it properly afterwards. I was kind of reading it on my phone and, going left to right, but hope you got it. By the way, talking about that, did anyone stop to check the Black Friday sales? Because it's an interesting thing. For many of us across the world, African peoples, we were standing up for something. And so we didn't get caught up in this Black Friday sales situation. But I know that it caught on here in Jamaica, Black Friday, which is really an American construct coming out of, what's the thing called, celebrate the other day? Thanksgiving. Do you know what they're giving thanks for, by the way? You know what Thanksgiving is about? What are they giving thanks for? Wonder if the Indians celebrate Thanksgiving, the original peoples of America. But anyway, I don't know. I think journalistically speaking, we might see a story or hear a story soon about comparative prices. Like, what was it being sold for before? What was it being sold for during the whole Black Friday thing, and it's ongoing? How does it compare to others who are not doing the Black Friday sale? And so on and so forth. Speak truth to the people. Look here, I don't even check it, Check it. Mr. Hal Shane Burke is standing by with the local and international headlines. Once again, I want to commend the young journalists who have recognized that it is time to seize the mic and ask the questions. Seize the day, seize the mic. If they won't come to you, if they won't give press conferences, if they won't do a telephone interview, if they won't do a television interview, if they won't sit down with you for an interview so that you can get answers on behalf of the public, then the time has come for you to seize the mic. When you get them, when they're sitting down, regardless of who they are, the time has come for journalists in Jamaica to seize the mic. So brilliant work, young journalists. Do not be bullied by the older to seize the mic. So brilliant work, young journalists. Do not be bullied by the older ones who say that you're wrong and you must do it the American way. Can't do it the American way, because in America, the president, in this case President Obama, and before him all the other presidents, they give press conferences pretty often. Almost every week there is one. And they sit down with journalists and do interviews. They are accessible. They do not communicate with the people of America by press and through press releases. So you can't be an American journalist in how you operate. Your reality is different. You must seize the mic. Carpe diem, seize the day. What's mic in Latin? Seize the mic. What's mic? I know you know in Alshin. What's mic in Latin?
I don't think at that juncture they had microphones.
What's mic in Spanish?
Micrófono.
Carpe micrófono.
Sí.
Thank you. Just a minute before news.
What life is really worth is that all that Peter is gold. After story had never been told, so now you see the light. Hey,
Time on Area from 8:45. Time now for the local and international headlines.
This is news from IRI FM, Jamaica's non-aligned news voice.
Good morning. I am Hal Shane Burke with the local and international headlines. A 5-year-old boy reportedly was burnt to death in a car in Norwood St. James yesterday. Dead is Jonathan Ward of Norwood. Reports that at about 12:30 p.m., Jonathan and his 8-year-old cousin were playing in a motor car that was parked in the yard. Police say his cousin allegedly saw him playing with a match and exited the vehicle to alert relatives, who on arrival found the car ablaze. The police were summoned and the child was seen crouched behind the driver's seat with several burns. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations are continuing. A motorcyclist died as a result of injuries he sustained during an accident in Falmouth, Trelawney yesterday. The deceased has been identified by a family member as Errol Letman, also called Taki of Falmouth Gardens, Trelawney. Reports said at about 2 p.m., Letman was driving his motorcycle along a section of Duke Street when upon reaching crossroads, a Toyota motor car being driven in the opposite direction reportedly overturned as the female driver tried to avoid a collision. She sustained injuries and was taken to hospital. It is not clear if the motorcycle slammed into the oncoming vehicle or into a nearby utility pole. Traffic was reduced to one lane after one side of the road was barricaded by the Falmouth police. A French woman who allegedly attempted to export half a pound of cocaine from Jamaica has been arrested and charged. She is 33-year-old Emily Lagros, a musician of France and Maypen in Clarendon. She was held by police from the Transnational Crime and Narcotics Division at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James on Wednesday, November 26. Reports at about 11:05, she arrived at the airport and checked into board a flight to Brussels, Belgium. During the screening of her luggage, irregularities were detected. As a result, her luggage was searched. Her bag was found to contain 3 bottles of deodorant and a bottle of powder, each of which contained a drug which has an estimated street value of $350,000. Legros was charged with breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act and is scheduled to appear before the Montego Bay RM Court on Tuesday, December 2. The Met Service is continuing the flash flood watch for eastern and central parishes until 5 p.m. A flash flood watch means that flooding is possible. A flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas of St. Mary, Portland and St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew and St. Catherine will be in effect until 5 p.m. today. A stationary front is just east of Jamaica and has been influencing the weather conditions across the country. Showers, heavy at times, will continue to affect eastern parishes, especially St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas today, mainly during the afternoon and the evening. Sea conditions will deteriorate in the vicinity of showers and thunderstorms due to gusty winds and rough seas. Fishers and other marine interests should exercise caution during this period. Persons are advised to take precautionary measures, keep informed by listening to further news releases from the Met Service, and be ready for quick action if flooding is observed or if an evacuation is ordered. Local radio station IRFM, which has been long driving force behind the advocacy for public beaches island-wide, has welcomed a court decision made last month that the Winifred Beach in Portland is a public beach. IRFM has been named along with GJAM Records as trustees of the Winifred Benevolent Society, which consists of stakeholders who have been advocating for the public to have free access to the Winifred Beach. Director of Programs at IRFM, Kheru, says while the court order has declared Winifred a public beach, it is yet to be declared a fully free access beach for the public, and that efforts will continue to achieve this. She says the court victory makes Winifred Beach the precedent and template by which advocacy groups can build on the fight for free access beaches in the country. In news overseas, the number of people killed by the Ebola outbreak in West Africa has risen to 6,900. This according to the World Health Organization. The toll has increased by over 1,000 since the WHO's last report on Wednesday, but it includes unreported deaths from earlier in the outbreak. Experts say the infection rate is more significant than the death toll as it reflects how the virus is spreading. Infection rates are decreasing in Liberia but are high in Sierra Leone. Finally, the white police officer who fatally shot an unarmed black teenager, Michael Brown, in the U.S. town of Ferguson has resigned. Darren Wilson, who had been on administrative leave since the killing, told a newspaper he did not want to put the lives of police colleagues at risk. Writing rocked Ferguson of the towns this week after a jury decided he should not be charged for the killing. And those were the local and international headlines. News next at 11:45. You can go online to irfm.net to view some of the stories. Like us on facebook.com/IRFM News. Follow us on Twitter at IRFM_news. From the IRFM Newsroom, I am Halshane Burke.
That was news from Irie FM, Jamaica's non-aligned news voice.
How are you doing, Mr. Concrete Asphalt?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well.
Right. Good to know that. Do you know the Cockpit country?
That should be, yes, yes, I know where it is. Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's what we're talking about today. You've been there, Akampong and those places?
Yes.
Or you've been up to the Trelawney end?
Yes, I passed through both areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Never stop.
Never stop. But you're going to stop now?
I drove through on occasions, and I also fly over.
Okay.
Okay. See.
Yes.
The whole area.
Yeah. It's sparse. It's beautiful. But Akampong is in the Cockpit country.
Right, yes.
And other villages in the Cockpit country. So now you're going to stop, though. Now you're going to look at the Cockpit country differently.
Yes.
In terms of even your own responsibilities. Right. Can we just say to Sasha Gay Laban, congratulations. She has been awarded Young Journalist of the Year at the PAJ Awards in Kingston on Friday.
Congratulations to Sasha.
Very well deserved.
Yes.
And well done, Sasha. Congratulations. Brilliant work. She's good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, she deserves it.
Nice girl. I mean, beacon, you know.
She deserves that recognition. I don't mean about the nice girl business. I mean, her work is good. No, she's a nice girl too, but we're talking about nice girl.
Yes. I mean, she's a very she have a nice spirit.
That's true. Not a lie. Not going to take that away at all. She really is a nice girl. But a very good journalist.
Yes, and of course, I mean, definitely.
Yeah. And there's one thing I really do like about Sasha, which I know she was awarded the Young Journalist Award and she deserves it, but I'm sure that, you know, the side of her that I would recognize more than anything is also the way she has embraced media generally, the complexities of media and how media is emerging. She incorporates that in her work.
Yeah, the whole mass communication aspect,
social media and other kind of media. She's really good at that. And then she segues from newspaper journalism to online journalism to radio journalism, and she doesn't see that. She doesn't separate them in her mind. And this is what we want the journalists in the 21st century to how we want them to operate, in that they don't see a difference between the newspaper, online, television and radio, that they understand that it is all media, and then that social media is just part of that too.
The message remains the same, being accurate. You know.
But she's one of the first young journalists that I've seen who gets it that way.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. All right.
She's in that age group that really should master that, you know.
Yeah. We all should master that as journalists before that. All right. So congratulations again, Sasha. Brilliant, beautiful work. Sasha Gay Laban from the newsroom.
Definitely.
All right. So we're going to Winifred Beach next week Sunday.
You mean the program? That's good.
You never know that. Listen. Not only that, did I listen this morning?
No, man, I was listening this morning. I was listening prior to in the half hour between 8 and 8.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah. All right. I mean, I understand. But, so we're heading to Winifred Beach next week, Sunday. And we're going to be broadcasting live from Winifred Beach because, the court has now ruled that Winifred Beach is a public beach.
Yeah, man, that's a tremendous victory for the people of Jamaica.
Yes, I agree with that.
Thanks to the work of Irie FM.
Well, the Winifred Benevolent Society
and
the people on the ground in Portland, on the beach, on the ground. Hey, they worked hard, you know.
Yes.
Carla, Painter, Cynthia, you name it. And I'm just calling a few names because I don't know everybody. But the Winifred Benevolent Society is interesting. You know, sometimes, and Sister P, morning. Sometimes when the demonstrations are happening over the last 7 years, and intensifying within the last 3 years, sometimes there are only 3 people demonstrating.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's 4 people turn up.
Yeah, what the message is.
Right, but they never stopped. They never stopped.
The message is consistent. Yeah.
And that's a lesson for the rest of us.
Yes.
And for the rest of Jamaica to say consistency, persistent, passion, you name, and law. Because if you have to go through the courts, go through the courts.
Yes, and it just shows the power of the people. I mean, if we can all just wake up you can imagine if all of us just decide to wake up one day.
People power. That is a real people power.
Yes, if we just decide to just wake up this morning, all of us. Yeah, I don't mean literal wake up.
Me know, man, me know.
Yes,
wake up.
Yes.
Wake the town and tell the people.
Yes. Yeah.
But if we just wake up, if we just get up, wake up tomorrow, say.
It would be a transformed set of people in this country.
What does waking up mean to you?
Waking up means that, get up and know know your rights and exercise your lawful duties in terms of getting what is rightfully yours, and when you wake up and you realize that, and you get collected, that's it.
Free the African mind.
Yes.
Consciousness. Seriously. So hopefully you can come to Winifred Beach with us. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. It is your weekend off.
Okay.
Because you're here this week.
Now you know how much I got. I know.
That's why we invite. That's why we're inviting you to the beach.
Well,
think about it.
No. I mean,
so it's like, Roger,
this work is work.
Yeah, man. No, but it's not work, man. It's a beach. So it's like, Roger, Winifred next weekend, Let's go. So what about Emancipation Park on Monday? Out of the articulate minority and ordinary Jamaicans through social media. You saw that movement on social media. It is a massive movement,
Yes.
I don't know if everybody can turn up at Winifred Park, but it is a big movement on social media.
Yes, I know. And there's also
at Emancipation Park.
Yes, and there's also the inarticulate mass.
Inarticulate majority. Yes, I saw that. But I think the inarticulate majority should also turn up at Emancipation Park on Monday. I mean, everybody must go, man.
Well, see how it go, because it's quite dynamic now to see the two coming together.
Yeah, but I don't know about your TL, but mine is showing me that there's a handful of inarticulate majority so far, and it is growing. It's only one person misses still, and it's Damian Crawford.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's the only one I see as an inarticulate majority. Who else you see? Who you see?
I don't know.
How many people you see? Are they on Facebook?
Me?
No, where you see these people? On Facebook?
The inarticulate majority?
No, the articulate...
majority.
The inarticulate majority.
Yes.
Yeah, where is them?
I saw it pop up as the direct opposite to
on
articulate
Facebook? Not on Twitter, on Facebook.
In Facebook and
because I have
Facebook.
Right, because I haven't been on. That's what I'm asking. Because I haven't been on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
But I know definitely on Twitter that the ordinary Jamaicans. Facebook, so you have ordinary Jamaicans. Hashtag ordinary Jamaicans.
Yes.
Hashtag articulate minority. Hashtag inarticulate majority.
Yes.
And there's another one too. December 1 is the Day of Resistance and Occupy Kingston.
Oh.
Yes. So December 1 at Emancipation Park. December 1, which is tomorrow, is being observed in Jamaica as a Day of Resistance.
Fine.
Day of Resistance to injustice and oppression and corruption and greed.
Fine. Looking forward to wake up to that tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's in the afternoon at Emancipation Park. You're asked to wear a white top. If you don't know have no white top, just wear anything.
Yeah.
Just turn up.
Turn up.
And, if you can't have a placard, but carry a placard if you want.
Yeah.
Because I understand that placards will be made and so on. But carry one. If you can't carry none, but just Emancipation Park. That was a movement that was started on the social media.
Yes. And I hope it doesn't segue into politics.
I hope so too. I agree with you totally. But so far, it's not looking that way on Twitter. Even though some people want to make it so, and I think that is the inarticulate majority is making it so. All right, I'm gone. Thank you very much. I know, man, because I end up on Twitter. Enough. I see where I'm going. And it's done already.
But quickly before you go, I mean, is this this articulate minority is social media or just Twitter?
It's social media because I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and it's on Instagram. Okay. So there's 3 spaces already.
Okay. Because I know people can be very slippery to say, well, they're just speaking at one of the component of social media.
Right. But I know definitely Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I don't know about Foursquare and LinkedIn and Dig and Reddit and Pinterest. I don't know, we could go on forever, but I know the 3 main ones.
Yes.
Thank you, my brother. I'll see you in Portland.
Winfred Beach.
Here we come.
We'll reach.
There you go.
Yeah.
We love that. Now, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're going to be rejoining Dr. Esta Figaro, and we're also going to take your telephone calls in this segment of the program. Did we cue up the right one here? Let me see. Are we recruiting soldiers? It's a Blair.
I'm recruiting soldiers for Jah-Army. Recruiting soldiers. Jah time is now. Satan forces, they all rise up to fight. They all rise up to fight. Jah and the saints, I say, only to fight. Jah and his saints. See them fighting against Jah children. See them slaughter them like slaves. Hear them come.
At 7 minutes after 9 o'clock, we're going to be opening the phone lines. We're going right to the phone lines to take your telephone calls for Dr. Esta Figaro on the Cockpit Country.
So I'm recruiting
974-5079, 974-5051, 974-5043, and 1-888-991-4152. Those are the numbers to call. As we go to the phone lines, Hotep, my brother, go ahead.
And Hotep to Dr. Figaro as well.
When you do Garnet, I never recognize you immediately. But
the equipment, them look like them have hole in them throat.
Oh, okay.
The Cockpit country, you see, remind me of the Amazon jungle and the Congo, which they say are the 2 lungs of the earth.
Yes.
Well, the Cockpit country is our little lungs of Jamaica.
Yes.
Now, if the Cockpit country breathe in what I breathe out, and breathe out what I breathe in, anybody who is attacking the Cockpit country is attacking me. Yeah?
Well said, Garnet. You want to respond to that?
Oh, yeah, no, I think that is absolutely brilliant, Garnet. That is, you can just repeat that over and over and over because that is very, very perfectly true.
Yeah, and you could also put it in this way that if I smoke cigarette and cancer attack my lungs, I am killing myself.
Yes, so if you attack Cockpit country,
attacking the lungs of Jamaica.
Yeah, and you're attacking yourself.
And then it's going to come like the Sahara Desert.
That's right, because what people don't know is that all them big time desert once were full of trees. A place like Ethiopia where people think say all of that was trees.
Thank you, Garnet.
Yeah, give thanks.
All right, we're taking your telephone calls for Dr. Figaro 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. The phone lines are open as we take your calls. We're also reading your messages on the social media. Oh, so sorry about that, but go right ahead. Call us back. Giving you the numbers again, 974-5051, 5043, 5079. Alright, I do have quite a few questions that I'm trying to get through from the social media, but let me take the phone calls and then come back to them. Alright, oops. What's happening there? Hello? Hello? Alright. Not quite sure what the problem is, but the calls are dropping, and we're not doing that deliberately. Keep calling, though, because it should be sorted out shortly. Garnet got through quite well. Maybe you can tell me what's happening, Sasha? Sorry, that will be Shamara. It's a very weird situation. But I know we are holding. My broadcast assistant tells me that we've got you holding, and we're having just a wee bit of technical issues. Okay, let's see if we have it together now. But that won't work. Hello? Okay. We don't have it together. Are you there? No? Okay, let's try that again. We got Garnet. We can get everybody in. All right. You know, it's a very weird thing happening, Dr. Figaro, is that so the social media situation, everything's stick on this end, and then we're having just a little bit of technical issues with getting our telephone calls into studio. But we get that shortly. Give me a minute till we sort that out. Let's try this now, Hotep.
Hotep, this is Rosemary Green from Sligoville.
Brilliant. Hey, Rosemary.
I'm calling to thank you both for a wonderful program again, and I hope it finds its way into the schools. Call Mr. Thwaites and put this one on for sure.
Rosemary, I'm going to depend on you to call Mr. Thwaites.
Okay.
No,
I will, but this is marvelous.
Yes. All right, so you're saying this conversation, you're saying the interview with
yes, Dr. Figaro. I myself have learned so much here this morning. And as usual, Andrea, you're really on the ball.
All right, thank you so much, Rosemary. Appreciate that. Any comments or questions for Dr. Figaro?
No, I just think that it is so, there's just so many areas that she's covered that is so important. that Jamaica needs to wake up this morning and just turn on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's most informative.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Right.
Okay, darling. Bye.
974-5051-5043-5079 and 1-888-991-4152. So, okay, on Twitter, the question is, what would a post-mining cockpit country look like? It's an interesting question.
Yes, well, there are two things to consider. One is limestone mining is because the price of limestone is so cheap, you have to mine huge parts of it. And I don't know about you, but I have watched that whole area, that whole mountain in St. Thomas through my life get eaten away, right?
Yes.
So you can imagine what cockpit country would look like with limestone mining. And then you can also imagine what it would look like with bauxite. As you were saying before that we didn't get to talk about, the whole reclamation thing, right? Is you dig it out, you have to put the dirt somewhere and the toxic extraction somewhere. So where would that go, right? Into the reservoir?
And just picture it too, because we see, there's so many cavities, man-made bauxite mining cavities,
all
over Jamaica.
And it's one thing we haven't talked about really is the importance of beauty. And studies have shown that people who interact with nature and who live near nature actually have better health and wellness and spiritual well-being.
That makes a lot of sense as we go back to the phone lines. Hotep, my sister, go ahead.
Yeah, Andrea.
Hey.
Oh, excuse me, Kabu. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, and Dr. Figaro, welcome, morning. Brilliant program as always, Andrea. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, just a thought. You see, Dr. Figaro, what you was talking about, the cockpit country, and it's the lungs of Jamaica, right? To me, that is so true. We need to get that out to the young kids, though, because so they can start appreciating it and getting into it as careers. I mean, it's something that they can work on with pride, right, to build Jamaica.
And, it's interesting because I was talking about watching the documentaries and the shorts that made by Dr. Figaro with my own daughter.
With your daughter.
And I think that this is, the parents need to take responsibility, those who are listening right now. I mean,
I agree.
A lot of them are available on the internet, yes.
But and because I've learned so much.
Yes.
10% of Jamaica's area is a cockpit country. I was not aware of that. Yes. But water, 40%. No, brilliant teaching.
Thank you, my sister.
One more thing, Fisherman's Beach.
Yes.
No, we were talking about it earlier.
Yes.
One of the things, I've been going over there every once in a while, but when I have family that come to visit and they want Jamaican fish, where's the best place in Ochi to take them?
That's a
Fisherman's Beach.
Fisherman's
Beach.
Almost the best place in Jamaica. It is what it is. It's been there forever. When I came to Ochi in the 80s, it was there. I came back in the 90s, it was still there. And I heard it's 60 years that's been going on. So there you go.
Because it's like our Port Royal down here, or what's that place in St. Elizabeth, Little Ochi. I mean, that's a viable part of the community. Anyway, brilliant program.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my sister. All right.
Okay.
All right, 974-5079, 5051-5043, and 1-888-991-4152. Your questions for Dr. Figaro. All right, lots of comment on the social media at T Zeus. Says, morning sister, listening the concerns about cockpit country and feeling angry. Running African Jamaica for sale. Let's go back.
Hello?
Oh,
hello?
Yes, Hotep?
Yeah, this is Kevin Blackwood. I'm calling. I never was listening to the program earlier, but I have some useful information for you.
Yeah,
I'm a member. Just put a company together named Royal Healing Herb. Basically, now the 8th tour and all of that. The country put a herb in existence and so forth, but I know still But we didn't have something in the bowler thing in Africa, the casserole and the busy.
All right, call me back tomorrow on that, please. You know, as he mentioned the herbs, it's something you talked about earlier, but we didn't go into. And I saw that too on one of the shorts. Tell us a little bit about that in the Cockpit country, because everything up there.
Well, you know, we have a tradition of herbal healing, you know, all through Jamaica, because people never have doctor and all them kind of thing. And so you have to know what the plants are. You know, the Bible says that the animals will teach you, you know, because a lot of people learned from watching what animals ate and whatnot. And so there is what we need to know. One of the things about the Cockpit country is most of it we don't know anything about. Okay?
Yes.
So there's great research and information to be found out. And there's a research institute there called Windsor Research Center that does a lot of research. And you can go to cockpitcountry.com and find out. You can go to their Facebook page and learn more about Cockpit
And there
country.
really is a lot of information there. But it is such a beautiful place. When you take the camera the way you did, and you know, just focus on the plant life, the animal life, you know, just the birds. I saw birds, I mean, beautiful birds. You know, my daughter was screaming at the hummingbird. And, you know, when there's some place, there's a part of the short that talked about the bromeliads.
Oh, yes.
And then the narrator said, or I think it was a person actually there, said, well, they grow like this on the trees because they do not need the soil to grow in. And my 6-year-old daughter was like, what? It doesn't need soil? So to me, that was such a learning moment. And I didn't know it never needs soil either. So I was just like, but I pretended I knew, like, no, it really doesn't need soil. So really, for me, thank you so much, because there's so much to learn, so much to know about ourselves, so much to know about our country. And the more we know, the more we'll want to preserve, I'm quite sure. Let's go back to the lines. Hello, caller.
Empress Kabu.
Greetings, Hotel.
Esta Black.
Yes.
It's such an informative program. I love your program. Every Sunday morning, you know, I listen.
Thank you.
And this is why, as you know, this is why I also pay $3,000 to get involved in politics, because I'm from the Cockpit country of Point St. James.
Okay.
Yes. And what's going on there, it's not good. We just did a consultation in our little community center there in Point about the Cockpit country, and it was so enlightening. And I'm ready. I have a television channel with scene in Trelawney, St. James, and over Westmoreland, and I'm asking for that video that you watch to be presented so more people can see it, because we all need to learn and know what's going on. And I am against mining the Cockpit country, and this is why I think all Jamaicans should go out and vote for saving the Cockpit country. Okay? The only way we can do this is at the ballot, at the polling station, and get it done. We need to get rid of whoever is controlling our lives here in Jamaica and free up Jamaica. One love, and thanks for taking my call.
Hang on there, because you talk about getting the video. Well, I watched it online.
I think the two things. You can go to YouTube to my channel Esta Figaro, and you'll see all the environmental films there. But certainly Cockpit Country is our home, and Cockpit Country Voices from Jamaica's Heart is there. But I think also for your channel, I'm pretty sure that Michael Schwartz from Windsor Research Center was going to
Michael was in our district doing that. But the only problem with downloading YouTube, we don't get good quality.
No, he's going to give you a copy. So just he talked to me about it. So definitely.
Are you from St. James?
No, sir, I'm from Kingston.
You sound so knowledgeable about this area too. Here you talk about Montego Bay, and I really enjoy watching and listening to you speak.
Thank you. So just ask Mike again, and he's planning to get those to you for sure. And thank you so much for having a station and getting the word out. Thank you.
All right. Tomorrow's election in Westmoreland Central, and I'm imploring everyone to go out and do that protest vote so we can save all the beaches, save Jamaica for us Jamaicans.
All right, my brother. Thank you much. As we continue to take your telephone calls, 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1888. All right, Jamaica Gal, you're asking about squatting in the Duns River area. She's saying, quick question before I forget. Is squatting in the area of Duns River still happening? And I don't know how to answer it because I don't understand. I don't know what to... I don't understand squatting, so I can't answer. Do you know? Right. Okay. Because squatting is, I don't get it. I don't get it really. All right, so we're taking your telephone calls, 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. Right after this.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
All right, we're back with you. Barbara Blake-Hanna, Barbara Makeda. Morning says, I know you sent me some information, but I'm not able to open. Also, Kwesi, I'm not able to open the attachment, and I think both are related to the conversation, but I'm not able to open both attachments. All right, so for Barbara Blake-Hanna and Kwesi. Hotep caller, go ahead. Good morning.
Yes, Hotep, Sister Angela.
Hotep, my brother, go ahead.
Yeah, man. This Wednesday, gone, my son and I Bukajama Chief Palmer, went up to Maroon Town.
Yes.
He was doing his a research for his degree. Mm-hmm. And he was looking at conservation in the Cockpit country.
Wow, yes.
And he had collated all his, analyzed his data. But I was helping him administer some questionnaires. And based off of the response I was getting, there was a questionnaire on it. Do you think bauxite mining would bring income to the Cockpit country? And that answer would get a yes or no. And a lot of people who I administered to said they don't care. And it doesn't matter if they bring income or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the feel I get from just administer that questionnaire is that the people up there, they are resolute that they don't want nothing like farming, like mining up there, you know.
That's quite interesting, and that is the research that he's doing, and interesting too that, you know, people to answer yes or no, that people are saying I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah, man.
So
I mean, it's quite a few, and that's what I got them put in that wasn't as a response, but they put in that response.
Yes, that's interesting, Dr. Figaro, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's correct. As I mentioned earlier, that the study that the government commissioned from UE clearly states that the majority of the people of Cockpit country do not want mining. It's clearly stated.
Yeah, man.
All right.
That jump put up me Wednesday.
Yes. And your son is doing his first degree?
Yeah, his first degree now in environmental studies.
Okay, that's brilliant. All the best.
Yeah, man. Get
all right. Okay. All right. Taking a telephone calls. Wow, lots of responses on the social media. Not many questions, just people saying thank you for the program, and that is like, you know, scores and scores and scores of them. So I can't read all the thanks, but thank you for tweeting in and for posting on Facebook and Instagram. Hello, Hotep. Good morning.
Ujambo Kabu.
Ujambo Wote.
Yes, Mandingo.
Yes, Mandingo, are you here or are you calling from England?
I'm calling from I've been enjoying what you and Dr. Figaro have been talking about, because, believe you me, we need continuous public education for our African people in Jamaica about the importance of the Cockpit country.
Yes.
Because without that education, a lot of our people will be brainwashed, miseducated, to think that nothing is wrong with mining in that area. Mm-hmm. And to mine in that area and to do other things would be to destroy the water supply. In fact, for the whole island of Jamaica. Because remember that when we have water being supplied with the system of irrigation and channeling of water, is that water which is needed in any other part of Jamaica can be ferried, transported to other parts of Jamaica. So we are literally dealing with the Cockpit country that Jamaica as a whole depends on the water reserves that resides in the Cockpit country.
Yes, and we
this
heard...
is an issue of life and death.
It is. Thank you so much, Mandingo. We're running out of time, but thank you so much for calling and for your contribution, all right?
Yes, and keep on with this public education about the cockpit country, you and Dr. Figaro and others. It's absolutely vital because we cannot exist without water.
All right. Thank you, my brother. All right, my sister Ancobia, who's writing from the UK, who says do not read out loud right now. All right, so I won't read out loud. But thank you so much. And, there was a letter earlier that I saw from Kwame Pianken. We know Kwame is in the US listening online. And Kwame, boy, these things are fine. Let me take off my glasses. All right, so it says... Ms. Figaro's observations of the negative effects of bauxite mining hit very close to home for me. My maternal grandfather was from Maidstfield's district near Knockpatrick, Manchester. The bauxite company mined a big pit which is still there to this day in the middle of a community. The pit is at least 20 feet deep and it has physically separated the community. The bauxite company bulldozed family graves going back to the 1850s when there were supposed to be provisions to safely move any grave sites. I contacted the MP's office in that area, Peter Bunting, to see how the situation can be remedied, such as repairing the headstones and reinterring the bones, and no response was given. I have an older cousin who is suffering from breast cancer, and my great-grandmother died of senility, knowing that aluminum is a neurotoxin. I wonder if these illnesses were caused by the mining. Keep up the great work, Dua. Any quick comment?
Wow. What he just laid out is absolutely it. And we need, it would be great if we could get these kind of testimonials, if we could gather them in one place and then we could track some of those people down, because it's absolutely true. Mm-hmm. Separation of the community, the breaking up of the bones, people's sacred places, that we treat them that way.
Mm. We're completely out of time, Dr. Figaro, and have to wrap up now. Any quick final words? We're going to continue the conversation. We do not have any other option but to continue. Yes.
Well, I'm just so grateful to you and all you do and for this opportunity. And I just want to again let people know they can go to my YouTube channel, Esta Figaro. They can go to Windsor Research Center's Facebook page. They can go to cockpitcountry.com for more information. And they can read my novel, Limbo.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Esta Figaro, for coming down all the way to Otrias. But nice drive through the junction, and you're going back. And as you go back, motorists are being advised that the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine remains impassable following heavy rains and flooding. Motorists are therefore advised to use the alternative routes through Sligo Vale or Barry. So that's not so good. I hope those roads are not so bad now. Sligo Vale not so bad, I hear. Not quite sure what the Barry Road is. But motorists, remember now that the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine, it remains impassable. It's flooded. We saw the pictures last night and not looking so good at all. So avoid the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine and use an alternative route through Sligo Vale or through Barry. And interestingly enough, Dr. Figaro came in from Kingston this morning. The route they used was to come this way, was to go through the junction in St. Mary, go up in the mountains and wind their way all the way back down to Otrias. Thank you so much, Dr. Esta Figaro. Safe travel back as you go back to the hills of the junction, the mountains of the junction of St. Mary. 9:35, quick break. Okay, 9:36. And we're going to go back to the phone lines because we want to talk now in this segment of the program to two very special guests. Well, we're talking to three very special guests in this segment of the program. As you know, and you might have heard, the Winifred Beach, the court ruled last month that Winifred Beach is a public beach. That is half of the battle won in terms of what the people desire for Winifred Beach. We're going to be talking to Carla Gulato of the Winifred Benevolent Society. We're also going to be talking to Cynthia Miller of the Winifred Benevolent Society. She's also there on the beach. She's been on the beach for years. And we're also going to be speaking with the managing director of the UDC Mr. Desmond Malcolm. That's coming up right now. A little bit more from Peter Tosh as we get ready to go into our next conversation. Seeking truth, learning from the past, absorbing the spirit of human possibility, and honoring our moral obligation to remember.
I'm recruiting soldiers for Jah-Army. Recruiting soldiers. Jah time is now.
All right, quickly. Thank you, Barbara Makeda Blake Hanna. She says Peter Tosh Estate partners with political advocacy organizations, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, and other advocacy organizations. And she says Tosh's music will be used as rallying cry for activists in campaigns. I just got part of it, Babs, but so that's not bad news. Let us look, as I said last week about the Bob Marley thing, go behind that and beyond it to make sure that it is good news. But on the surface, sounds like good news. My brother Kwesi, all right. So you're saying try another version, but Kwesi, I'm not seeing the attachment at all. That's a problem. I'm not seeing. For Barbara, I can open the attachment, and then for this one, I'm not seeing it at all. So I'm so sorry. Is it possible to copy and paste? All right, we're going to the phone lines. Can we go to the phone lines to speak with Carla Gulato and Desmond Malcolm? All right.
To fight against Jah and his saints, I can tell you, only to fight against Jah and the
All right, we're live on the phone lines now with Carla Gulato of the Winifred Beach Benevolent Society and Desmond Malcolm, who is the Managing Director of the UDC. Good morning, Carla. Good morning, Desmond.
Good morning.
Okay, morning. Very good to have you. I'll start with you, Carla, because this is great news, as we said a few weeks ago. This is not the first time we're talking about... Yes, Desmond? All right, I'm going to start. Are you there, Carla?
Yes, I am.
All right. Carla's sounding very, very low, though, but and a little bit muffled.
Up.
All right. Much better, much better.
I will try to shout.
Okay, that is much better, Carla. All right, so we spoke a few weeks ago on this. This is an ongoing conversation between both of us for the last, 5 to 7 years. But now the ruling from the court. 3 weeks ago we talked about this. Can you quickly tell us, for those persons who are hearing for the first time from you, what the ruling was from the judge regarding Winifred Beach?
Well, the courthouse in Port Antonio has stated that the parcel of land which is related to the beach need to be entitled with a different land title, which is recognizing that it is a public beach and that the various road or path or tracks leading to the beach need to be included in the new land title. The new land title describes that parcel of land as a public beach. UDC was asked to present within 90 days the new land title to the courthouse.
All right, so it's much less than 90 days now since the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, some have gone already. Quick.
Right, have you heard from the UDC yet, even though we have Desmond on the line?
Well, no, I didn't, but I think that is something which is under their jurisdiction, and they have a couple of attorneys which for sure will accomplish what the court has required.
And then a few weeks ago when we spoke, we said this was a half victory. If we were looking at victory in 100%, that this would be 50%. The other 50% is what?
Well, you see, the fact that Winifred has been recognized as a public beach is a very good issue. But the 50%, which is still left, it is who is going to manage the beach, because it's still UDC owning the beach. So there are... To me, I want to make a couple of points without looking aggressive. The beach has been acquired by UDC in 1976. Since then,
nothing has been done on that beach from the owner, which is UDC. All those years, which is a lot, many years, the beach has keeping going, accommodating people, having holidays, having parties, having churches gathering over there. To keep the beach going is not an easy task, and it has been done by this bunch of people, which now have a formal name as Free Winifred Benevolent Society, which have been totally volunteering the maintenance of the beach, and when there is a little money, they try to fix what can be fixed. You came to the beach not too long ago, and you have seen that the road needs some serious improvement.
Yes.
But the Benevolent Society actually is not in the position to apply for any funds, because we are not the owners. We do not have any contract in terms of, lease or rent the beach. Therefore, all what you see, including the new fresh painting on the bathroom, has been done by the people on the beach and by the people in Ferril community. Honestly, this to me is the biggest expertise somebody can show Ferril community. Honestly, this to me is the biggest expertise somebody can show in order for the beach to be properly run. We can do better, for sure, but according to the situation, for example, we are extremely concerned about the bathroom, because the bathroom should not be beside the sea, should be in the back of the beach. To relocate something like that, it takes a good money. Should we spend the money that we have to rally to get funds and stuff if we are not sure about our destiny? And that is one. The second thing, allow me to say, UDC as
Will I be allowed to speak?
Mr. Malcolm, that's why you're on the line, but I'm giving you as much time as I gave to Carla. Remember Carla was a guest who was on, and we just learned last night that you wanted to come on. So go ahead, Carla.
If the gentleman is willing to talk, I can wait.
No, but just give a second point, because I want him to respond to the point.
The second point is another big challenge is the fact that there is no water down the beach. But when we went to try to reconnect the water, we were learning that UDC left a huge debt. So as far as we do not pay their debt, we are not going to reconnect the water.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Carla. All right, Mr. Dennis Malcolm, as we said before, is a managing director of the UDC.
It was Desmond Malcolm, and I'm the general manager.
Mr. Malcolm, there's no anger around him. I apologize for keep calling.
No, I'm just saying, my name is Desmond Malcolm, and I'm the general manager.
Yes, and once again, let me apologize for keep calling you Dennis. All right, so Mr. Malcolm, what your first response as a general manager for the UDC to the court ruling?
Well, let me clarify. The lands, and the latter clearly state that the lands are owned by the UDC. The UDC's, one of its mandates is to manage assets on behalf of the government of people of Jamaica. The fact is that there were Jamaicans who were using the beach and were cleaning the beach. As far as I know, the courts have allowed, there is a clause called prescriptive rights, that persons should have access to the beach. Now, all beach managed by the UDC are public beaches. So I want to make it very clear. It was always a public beach, and the beaches managed by UDC are public beach.
So what did the court... Hold on, just hang on there.
There were a lot of time to speak.
No, but it's you see when I'm talking to you, Mr. Malcolm, I just want you to clarify something. I'm not talking to Carla, it's you are talking to. I just wanted you to clarify something, because you said, because I have been saying all morning that the court has ruled that Winifred Beach is a public beach, but you're saying, no. Winifred Beach was always a public beach. So can you help us to understand what the ruling was?
The ruling was that persons, including those of which Mr. Latta speak, still have rights to the beach. The question is that how will UDC designate on the diagram the pathway to the beach? And this goes back to NRCA rules which require that citizens should have access to beach. And that is what will be put on the title. So they're designated area where persons can go to the beach. The land is owned, and there's a development plan for that tract of land. What we want to ensure that the development that is done is in collaboration with the people of Jamaica, and in particular, members of the society of which Mr. Latta speak. That is the mission of UDC. There's no quarrel here. The court ruled that the rights, they should have access to the beach, which is law. We are now going to establish that persons can orderly access the beach. I will say that persons do not have any right to go there and manage the beach on behalf of the UDC unless the UDC agrees to that. It can be done. There are all kind of instruments in terms of lease, management contract, etc. We're speaking of all Jamaicans having the right to the beach in an orderly way, and no other group could discriminate against another group.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds to me, Mr. Malcolm, that you're not saying anything different from what the Benevolent Society is saying.
What I'm saying, however, what has been published is that Winifred Beach has now become a public beach, and it's a victory. It was always a public beach since it's held by UDC. So we need to be reporting things accurately.
Well, what I saw in terms of the publication and what I've heard and talked about myself in terms of the publication, yes, we talk about public access. Now, what was the matter before the court? That is the question. What was the matter before the court? Because we need to understand.
It perhaps relates to the 50% that Ms. Latta speak of.
What was the matter before the court, Carla?
The 50% seems to be moving towards ownership or at least rights to control and operate the beach outside of UDC.
All right.
I think that was an issue. And the courts clearly ruled that UDC owns the land. The prescriptive rights need to be enforced, and UDC need to indicate how persons can move to the beach.
All right, Carla, and from your understanding, your own understanding, what was the matter before the court?
Andrea, the situation is a little different. We should go back to 7 years ago when, because according to what I say, and Mr. Malcolm is stating, there is no reason to go to court. So yes. Why did we go to court? Yeah. Unless we want to spend tons of money without any reason. The reason is as follows. 7 years ago, there was a project and a plan which was presented in Port Antonio on a public meeting, which was talking about a resort. A resort means that the beach is belonging to the resort. Therefore, we started this struggle, and I still have to thank you, Mr. John Maxwell, which was teaching us that if a beach is public for 25 years, it cannot be privatized. The reason why we went to court is exactly that. The plan which was presented in the public meeting at the Old Marina in Port Antonio was showing a big resort which was not a public beach but was something related to the resort. Therefore, we applied to the courthouse for these famous prescriptive rights in order for the beach to be recognized officially as public. That is why we went to court. Second point, I am not in the position to challenge the ownership of the beach from UDC. I know, everybody knows. What I am asking today to Mr. Malcolm, to you and everybody is, if the beach was owned by UDC since 1976, why they didn't do any improvement on the beach. One. The second is why they left debts at the Water Commission. And the third question is, I'm not saying that I am going to take over the beach. That is totally illegal, and we are not intending to do anything illegal. What we are publicly asking, and I heard something very nice from Mr. Malcolm, that they serve the people in Jamaica, UDC. Fine, great, I agree with that. I publicly ask Mr. Malcolm and the UDC to give us, to lease us, to rent us the beach, because in 30 and more years, I think that we have acquired the capability to do it. And we don't want to do it on our own.
Well, let me have Mr. Malcolm respond to the points. Yes?
I think, just the first question, I believe that why UDC did not do anything about the beach, I'm not sure. I was not there. But I think it's going to have to speak to the fact that there was a development which the people believe that was not in their interest. So perhaps there was a plan, but it was not appropriate as far as the citizens are concerned. So there was a development plan. Now, I want to make the point that also this new administration, headed by Chairman Knight, it is that we agree that we need to come to an agreement with the citizens there. So we did not fight the issue of prescriptive right and access to the beach. So you must understand that UDC now is saying the persons there should have access to the beach, and we are prepared for that. Mm-hmm. In terms of the way forward, I indicated that we have had beaches where we consider various management structure, and we have not really put on the table that for a period that we could have a situation where a group, an established group, can lease and manage a facility. That's where we are now. So I think this is what we will, in going forward, this is one of the options. Full development, or you have a lease arrangement. We do have beaches in Jamaica, which are public beaches, that are managed by Jamaicans, and we have a lease arrangement. So this could be one way. This could be one model. The other model is for us to have full development. But if you have full development, what the courts have ruled that the prescriptive right and persons to have access to the beach must be upheld by the UDC. That's my position.
Mr. Malcolm, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You know that maybe it was the previous administration, because it has been a long, long time that the issue is going on. But we had 2 long sessions of mediation trying to find a solution. And there was a time where it was looking like the solution was really near. Because the agreement at the second or third session, I don't remember, was basically that UDC would have co-managed the beach with some local entities, including ourselves, in order for the beach to be a service for the community, but properly handled. And on this agreement, we were extremely happy to be part of the development. When we received the final written document, we discovered that what we were discussing was only partially true, because in the final document that we received, the committee which was supposed to be running the beach, and it was composed, I remember, by UDC, by ourselves, by the health department, by the local environmental agency, by the hotel association, by the community of Ferry Hill and the parish council, if I don't forget somebody. That committee was supposed to be controlling the beach. Agreement more or less done. When we received the written document, we discovered that the committee was consultative. Consultative committee, for who is listening, means that you can plan, but the last decision is in the hands of the owner. So, to be really, really down to earth, a consultative committee has no big value, because we can plan whatever we want, and then the owner can decide, no, I don't want.
Carla, I'm going to interrupt because we have just a few minutes to go in the program.
Sorry.
And so the question you're asking Mr. Malcolm is?
The question is, why a possible agreement, which was stating that a committee composed by various agencies would control the beach, became a consultative committee, which means that he has no final word and no real power.
I believe that a consultative committee in Jamaican parlance is that the views of that committee should be recognized. It does not necessarily mean that what they want is what is obtained, but I think at least if you set up a committee, then their views ought to be respected. What I would like to say is that we are where we are now, and UDC is willing to go forward to work with the Benevolent Society and the persons in Portland and all Jamaicans for the best use for the beach. Recall, however, that from time to time the UDC have development plans, and we cannot take everything off the table. But I think right now where we are, I'm going to be in touch with the society there, and we will start work in ensuring that persons continue to use the beach in an organized way and in recognition of what the court has ruled.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Desmond Malcolm.
Stop to call him Dennis. His name is Desmond.
Every time he comes on, I call him Dennis. And I tell him it's because Dennis is a reggae singer. Anyway, so Mr. Desmond Malcolm, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay.
General Manager of the UDC. Carla, thank you so much also.
Yeah, very well.
All right. Okay, so there we have it. Mr. Desmond Malcolm, the UDC General Manager, and Carla Gulato. You see that, progress is being made, and it sounds good. It can all be worked out, I'm quite sure. The court ruling is a major victory. It remains a major victory. It is a major victory. And then now you take it to the other aspect of it, the other element of it, which is, so who will manage the beach? We heard Mr. Malcolm saying the UDC is open and there will be a sit down and in the best interest of the people. He talked about the possibility of leasing so that the Benevolent Society can manage the beach, or does it remain with the UDC? How does this work? These are the issues to be worked out right now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a major victory and an example, a precedent, a template, a pilot, a model as we go forward across Jamaica, each parish in Jamaica. I have just a minute to go, and Cynthia Miller is down there on Winifred Beach, and I just want to say good morning to Cynthia. Quick, before we wrap up, because I really need to touch base with somebody who's been on the beach for a very, 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 very long time on Winifred Beach. First time I went to Winifred Beach, I think it was 1987. And I've been going there ever since. So let me just quickly talk to Cynthia. Cynthia, good morning.
Hello, Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. How you do? Everything all right down there?
Yes, good, very happy. I'm happy to hear your voice. I'm happy to be on your program for a minute.
Yes.
And I'm happy for everything.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and you're happy about the court ruling?
Very much, very much.
How long have you been on Winifred Beach, Cynthia?
Over 20 years.
20 years.
I've been doing over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's not an easy struggle. It's a very hard struggle. But I tell you, Andrea, I thank God. Mm-hmm. He has to give thanks first. Because it's not easy as how people may see it. It's a struggle. And I thank God that we haven't finished. We have done part 1. We have part 2, which is coming up. But I'm just saying to the Jamaica people and all over the world, we need to give the Almighty thanks for what we have been fighting through. It's not easy. Sometimes I feel like give up. And I said, no, continue. But I always say, if you're climbing a tree and you want to reach the top, never you stop. Continue your journey. If even at the end you lose, you feel satisfied. But I'll never turn back. Sometimes everyone leaves me alone. Carla is not in Jamaica. I am here and I take on the struggle. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that as a black woman and as a black people, we need to fight for our right. Mm-hmm. And I will never, never give up.
No, I know that you won't. And we look forward to seeing you next week Sunday when we come down, because we're broadcasting live from Winifred Beach. You have a structure, you have a business now, you're an entrepreneur. You've been on Winifred Beach for over 20 years, and I've watched that entire area grow to be what it is. You're also part of the persons who clean up Winifred Beach.
Yes, especially when we have like a storm. If the beach is dirty, we take at least, if there's a hurricane, and you should come down and look at the place. Another 2 days, you'll be surprised to see. We do all the work on the beach. We didn't get any help from outsiders. Only we as vendors come together, we unite, we clean the beach, we maintain it, we do everything, even the road. Yes. I'm telling you something, Andrea, if you should pass by and see us work on that Winifred Road, you would be surprised. Yes. People don't know what's going on, but if they should come and see us, they will be surprised. And we really put up a struggle.
And for the people who are going to be coming down next week Sunday to Winifred Beach for the outside broadcast, know that the actual path to go down to Winifred Beach, the road is not so good. The road is not so good, but we're going to go down there. All right?
Yes, Andrea.
So what you have on the menu today?
We have fish, chicken, rice and peas, vegetable, all Jamaican local food we cook.
All right. Okay. Yes. All right. See you next week. Yeah, man.
And thank you, Andrea, for having me. And I want to say, people, Jamaican all over, come join us. Fight with us. This is our country. We need rights, and we need to stand up for our rights.
All right. Thank you very much, Cynthia Miller on Winifred Beach. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Andrea.
See you next week Sunday. All right. We're going to be on Winifred Beach next week Sunday, broadcasting live, running African, as we celebrate the victory and look forward to the way ahead. This is Kheru. Thanks to my in-studio broadcast assistant, Shamara, this morning. Thank you. See you next week.
Stay up late at night when you